We have breaking news.
Yeah, look, and I wish for no one's health to be compromised, but this might have been good news for a couple people on this program today. Maybe a couple of us that have 28.5 wins, the under for the Portland Trailblazers.
So some guy gets hurt.
I'm not celebrating.
And his name happens to be Anthony Simons.
I'm not celebrating.
Who is out 4 to 6 weeks.
Possibly longer.
Due to thumb surgery.
Yeah.
He already has a lot more money than us, though. This helps put us on the up.
Well, that's fair.
And he was part of the horrid under tank job that cost me a significant amount of money last year when I bet the over on the Portland Trailblazers.
So he owes you?
I feel like the karmic world owes me, and I feel like the gambling gods are paying it forward at this point, and I appreciate that.
Some guy gets hurt. This guy who pours his heart and soul, this young kid who pours his heart and his soul into his craft.
Yeah.
The first game, he F's up his thumb. Yeah. He's got to be so sad and hurt.
And I'm sad, too, for him.
Or maybe he's not. Because he gets paid either way. He's probably like, yeah, great.
Hang on.
I'm hurt. And all you can think about is your bet.
I'm not going to say it's all that I thought about, but I will say that when me and Buck met eyes today when we walked in.
When you locked eyes.
It might have been the first thing.
Dreamweaver started playing.
There was a little...
It's not.
There was some juice. There was an electricity.
The main thing, but we see.
Yes, it was.
We see the email. It
was
wasn't
the main thing.
It was the first thing.
Yeah.
We saw the email come across from the boss, and my mind immediately went to not what does this look like for the young man's career, but I bet that makes 28.5 under a lot easier.
Well, and look, he's gonna be fine.
Of
it's
course
a
he is.
thumb.
He's a young
it's
guy.
a thumb. He's a young guy.
Before the All-Star break.
He didn't get hit by a bus. He hurt a thumb. He hurt a ligament in his thumb.
This could come back to bite you, though.
I don't want to talk about this. Don't do that.
Yeah, it could.
I need good juju out there right now.
Well, the season is long.
Yeah.
And, losing Simons for the first 4 to 6 weeks, what if you get a healthy, rested, motivated Anthony Simons that just takes the team over when he comes back?
He's their best player. He's the only one that can dribble, pass, and shoot. Like, I'm sorry. This is not going to be a good thing for the Blazers. And that, I think, is a good thing overall because you were going to tank anyways. And Simons might have been good enough to will you to some meaningless wins, possibly hitting the over on 28.5. And then where would you be? That's no good because that affects the draft status. So I think we can all admit, outside of Anthony Simons' thumb, this is a win-win-win. And his thumb will be fine in the long term. Now, he wants to take a little longer than 4 to 6 weeks to come back. I'm also, and I think Buck and a lot of us would be okay with that too.
We want him to come back healthy as a horse.
That's the main thing that I want everyone to know, is that we all want him to be 100%, and he should take as long as he needs. Let's not rush this back.
Shameless.
I'd like to say 4 to 6 weeks, but how about this? Maybe after 6 weeks, we reevaluate. I like that better. I like the good reevaluation, and then maybe, we ramp up a little bit. We got a G League team now. Let them play in the G League for a little bit. Let's make this more of an 8 to 10 week sort of thing.
Our sales team is already planning an NBA draft lottery party.
I love it. And then he comes back, and then you have a nice little run, and you get to 26, maybe 27 wins, and then we're fine.
Or 28.
No, can't handle it.
29?
No, can't handle it. I told you, 26, maybe 27 is the most I can get to.
Look, it's a little bit of breaking news. Anthony Simons out 4 to 6 weeks for the Blazers. But then again, who really cares?
But in the grand scheme of things, in being all serious.
No offense to him.
No, in all seriousness, though, that is a bit of a bummer in that, he really is their best player. No offense to, and Scoot will be fine, and, in DeAndre Ayton, but, I think sometimes we just overlook what's in front of us, and Anthony Simons is a really good player.
Already taking him for granted?
I do. I think that is a real thing. Anthony Simons is a really good player in this league, and I think everyone just kind of got into this whole oh, well, DeAndre Ayton's coming in, and then, Scoot Henderson's the future of the team, and Shaedon Sharpe. Like, I get that people are excited about Shaedon Sharpe. Shaedon Sharpe's not even starting. Like, Shaedon Sharpe has had 1 year and wasn't even an all-NBA rookie, first or second team. And again, the sky may be the ceiling for Sharpe, and maybe, one day he becomes something, but you have a really nice player in Anthony Simons that took some years to develop, and he's there. And I do feel like on a lot of Blazer fans, kind of like power rankings, he kind of gets thrown to the side. And I do think that you are going to see that this team without him, if you thought it was ugly that night in LA, it's about to get a lot worse without Simons on the court.
Wait a minute. Malcolm Brogdon, baby. Love that guy.
He'll be gone in 15 games.
Well, Danny was saying it's a good thing they kept him.
Yeah.
Because now that Simons is hurt, they're going to need that.
Yeah.
But, when I say who cares, that was me teeing up the poll question from yesterday.
Yeah.
And I'll read this to you. This was on X at 1080 The Fan, brought to you by AAA Heating and Cooling, a family business helping families for over 60 years. AAAIAQ.com. Yesterday we asked you, what is the biggest sports yawn right now? And we had Michigan Spygate on there, the World Series, Mad Dog Russo, or the NBA season.
Mm-hmm.
You know what won? In Portland, you know what won?
NBA season?
NBA season won.
Well, I told you, me and my buddy went to the Spirit of 77 and to watch the opener. We're like, hey, let's go. We'll live bet, watch the Blazers, have some beers, have a good old time. And we were kicking around what bar to go to. And he originally was like, I don't know if I want to go to Spirit of 77. He goes, that place is going to be an S show, right? Like opening night Blazers. I'm telling you, man, that thing was 3/4 full, if that. Like there just isn't a buzz. And so I know a lot of people were on board with the baby Blazers and the youth movement, and we were told that it was going to be an exciting team. And I kind of was like, well, I see where people are coming from, but I'm like, dude, give this thing 30 games and see if anyone's paying attention. Dude, we may give this thing 3 games and see if anyone's paying attention. Like I'm assuming Moda's going to be packed tonight. I'm assuming that it's going to be a sellout and it's going to be a great crowd. But you kick this thing down the road 15, 20 games, and if this is like a 5-6 win team, are we going to go back to the days of 9,000, 8,000 people there on a Wednesday night, when whoever rolls into town?
Has a city ever become collectively a fan base for another team in another city? I bet you, and I say that tongue-in-cheek, of course. I'm talking about how Spirit of 77 was probably packed last night with Bucks jerseys, watching Damian Lillard dominate.
I'm serious to Blazer fan out there. Did that just make it hurt a little worse?
I bet it did.
I mean,
I surprisingly saw a lot of Blazer fans that thought, you know what, good for this guy. That's cool.
Well,
I saw a lot of that sentiment.
I mean, they know how good he is.
Yeah, and I think they felt good for him that he's moved on from the situation.
But that's, I don't know. I think that's got to sting a little.
I definitely think
why
he's like, oh wait, they should have got him.
Oh yeah, look at that guy. Hey, turns out that
shouldn't have let him go.
That letter O guy, he's pretty good.
Yeah.
Well, and it was also weird to see the national media like just now figuring out that Lillard guy was good. Like it was like, have anyone watched him over the last decade? Like that's what he does. Like one of the best closers in the NBA.
Do you think they watch the Blazers? Especially with nothing around him?
You would assume that at least you were aware of how good I think people slept on Lillard, and I think he's going to give everyone a big FU this year out in Milwaukee.
Doesn't that tell you everything you need to know about Portland over the last 10 years?
Probably.
That no one even knew he was any good?
Yeah.
And that's an exaggeration, obviously. But, they saw him do that last night. Like, oh, well, that's special. Well, he did that like every other night.
Pretty much.
Around here.
Yeah, and I think we kind of took that for granted. And I also, and look, I'm not trying to throw shade at anyone. It's been one game, for God's sakes. But, boy, I think there is going to be a lot of, oh boys, because there were a lot of people that were like, well, not going to miss a beat. Moved on from Lillard, we got Scoot. And we were told by Cronin that Scoot, remember, on draft night, someone asked him about Scoot and the kind of the age thing and the time frame and, and the struggles. And Cronin stood up there and had the balls to stand on that stage and be like, well, there's some guys that just don't struggle. They come and hit the ground running and, there's no learning curve. And that's this young man. And, I think it's a little unfair to Scoot. And look, he's a 6'1" guard that struggles to shoot the ball. Like track record wise, that's not a great history in the NBA. And he may end up being great. He may end up being Russell Westbrook. He may end up being Jason Kidd. We'll see. But this idea that he was going to hit the ground running and just seemingly replace Damian Lillard, I think that's what like some people were trying to like sell him as, and
Well,
there may be some bumps on the road here where people look at this and be like, "Oh my God, what have we gotten ourselves into?" And you're just going to have to be taught once again, patience, 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 because this is going to be a long road.
they're trying to keep butts in the seats, you know.
Yeah, that's not going to work when you're 2-15.
Yeah. Well, you can't say that though.
No,
When you're the franchise, you got to
Yeah.
sell something. So they sell the rookie. Look, it's
They-
over.
They did increase
But
ticket sale or ticket prices, so they got that going for you.
when the Bucks get into the playoffs, are Blazer fans going to be secretly rooting for them to get ousted?
I don't know. I'll be interested. Like I'm all
Yeah.
on board. I want to see him win a ring. I want him to go there with Giannis, and I want him to win a ring. But maybe the diehards, maybe they're not. I don't know. I don't know where that fandom's gonna go. I was surprised that there was so little buzz around the opening of the Blazer season, and I will be very interested to see what the crowd and what the environment is at Moda. Because it's one thing to go on the road, and I get it. The NBA season sneaks up on you. You got a lot of stuff going on, but at Moda, I want to see what this is because it's not going to get better. This is the peak of what it's going to be, and if it's a ho hum environment on opening night, what does that say for the next month and a half?
Well, I think you know the answer to that. I mean, come on.
I hope it's better. I don't want to. I just hope it's not. I hope it's not the Caleb Canales days because those were rough days. I remember sitting in that arena being like,
Yeah.
"Oh my God."
They were way worse then, though.
Well, they might be pretty bad. We'll see.
All right.
One
Here's
game.
today's poll question. AAA Heating and Cooling on X at 1080 The Fan. Today we're asking you who is going down this weekend. Oregon at Utah. Oregon State at Arizona. Oklahoma at Kansas, Rock Chalk. Or the Seahawks against the Browns.
Oh,
That's your question today. Vote hard.
interesting. I can't say I love any of those.
Somebody you got to pick somebody.
I might take the Browns.
Browns are going down.
I thought you said the Seahawks were going down.
Oh wait. Yeah, sorry. Well, you said Browns.
Well, the
That
Browns
confused me.
the Browns taking down
Yeah.
the Seahawks.
Yeah. Okay,
Hey,
Seahawks
Seattle.
lose of those four.
If you made me pick, yeah,
All right.
I think I would.
PJ Walker.
Yeah, the Cleveland's defense can't be as bad as they showed against Indianapolis. That's why I bet on them, and they still found a way to win. Cleveland's defense is good. And did you see that there's only one team in the NFL that has scored 20 points or more in every single game? You know who that is?
Cleveland.
The Indianapolis Colts.
Oh.
Like, I thought that the Browns were going to roll the Colts, and I was like, how is this defense allowing points to the freaking Colts offense? But everybody has. So maybe that was just kind of one of those weird, funky games, and the Colts offensively are better than we thought.
Isn't that Steichen the coach there?
Yeah,
He's a good coach.
he's a good
He was
coach.
the Eagles offensive coordinator,
Yeah,
right?
he's I think
And he doesn't even have a quarterback.
No, and he's still finding a way to put up points.
All right. Vote hard on the poll question at 1080 The Fan on X. Let's get going with some hot last night in sports talk, including Damian Lillard. And then, Lincoln Riley. Wait, I got a quote from Lincoln Riley today you're going to love.
Is he going to be on the sidelines with the pneumonia?
Yeah. Yeah, he's back.
He's gonna be he's all right.
Yeah, he's fine.
Okay.
Come
Like, yeah.
Football coach.
Yeah.
So we'll get that in. And then we do have Joe Harrington today.
Yes.
5:30. We will preview Oregon v. Utah. So we will be right back. It is 3:13 on the Fan.
Seahawks football is on.
tease is robbing the bank, guys. Everybody's waiting for our hot picks.
No one's waiting for mine. The last 2 weeks have been brutal.
I'm looking here at the numbers.
I've looked at my my
Not
Bovada
good, Bob.
account.
We went 4-11 for you last week.
I don't think I
You did not even contribute
No.
one of those wins.
no, I think of the
0 and
four
4.
of the 4 I picked, I did not hit.
In the week before, I think we were 2-12. So we owe you.
Yeah.
And at 5:15, we will pay you.
Yeah.
Great start for
Yeah.
me, and has really
I've
No.
got locks. I'm going to Vegas.
not leveled out. It's
So,
bottomed out.
Actual
am-
Vegas.
Yeah, I'm actually going to Vegas after tonight's show, and so I have done massive quantities of homework on super locks. And let me tell you, I'm bringing the heat today. Trust me.
Any 10-unit plays out there?
Yeah,
No.
the Blazers under 28.5.
All right. So last night in sports, we had Damian Lillard being awesome.
Yeah, doing Damian Lillard things.
Yeah, nothing new to us, but apparently the NBA world was like, "Whoa, who's this guy?"
Yeah, that's what happens when your debut, you drop 39 and dominate the fourth quarter, and you win by 1.
That little step back, man.
Yeah, I mean that's
already missed
that's
that.
vintage Lillard. And then afterwards, I was listening to some of the post game stuff, and but he was just saying, he goes, everyone, including Giannis, said, "Hey, this is my team in the clutch. Like they are telling me this is what you do. This is why we brought you in." And as good as Giannis is, and look, Giannis is a better player than Dame. No one's going to argue that. Giannis for a little bit there was viewed as the best player in the NBA until that, the guy in Denver came along, the Tyson Fury of the NBA. But the one thing that Giannis doesn't have, the one thing that you criticize him is that when it comes down to it in the fourth quarter, you can't really trust his jumper, and you can't trust him at the free throw line. And, it's a little bit like with Kobe and Shaq. Shaq was the dominant force of those Laker teams, but he needed someone to close those out. And as good as Drew Holiday is, they still needed someone to close that out. And no offense to Chris Middleton or anyone else they've got there, they actually have, arguably the best closer in the NBA. And I love that as collective as an organization, they turned to Dame and said, "Hey, go do what you do." And then, of course, he went and did what he's been doing for a decade. And
Well-
there's a reason why they're the favorites to win the title.
I saw Jay Williams.
Mhm.
You know Jay Williams?
Yes.
You know that guy?
Basketball, former basketball
The
player
Duke guy?
/ motorcycle wreck survivor.
He said this morning on Get Up on ESPN,
What a great show, right?
he said, in one game, Giannis and Lillard have as much chemistry or more chemistry than Jason Tatum and
Jaylen Brown.
Jaylen Brown in 7 years. And he's not
Yeah.
wrong about that.
Yeah, that's not crazy.
It's not crazy because Brown and Tatum are
Yeah, it's-
weird.
It feels like anytime there. The one thing that's always been the knock on Boston is they just, who does that offense run through? It's just it's a little clunky in crunch time. And like I said, you need a closer. This is Giannis's team, but make no mistake about it. In the fourth quarter, that ball is going to be in Lillard's hands. And when you start talking about the pick and roll with those two, what do you do? That is the best right now 1-2 punch in the NBA. And if you're the Miami Heat, you're really sitting around right now. If you're Jimmy Butler being like, really, we didn't want to give up our assets to go get Damian Lillard. Cool, everybody. Have fun.
Well, I think they tried.
Not really. Pat Riley even came out and said that he was not willing to go all in. They were not willing to put together the big package, and they held back. And,
Well, hopefully they meet in the playoffs.
it'd be fun to see. You look at Miami, you look at Boston, you look at Milwaukee, and I think when you look at the rosters, you no offense to Jimmy Buckets, but their roster isn't Milwaukee, and it sure as hell isn't Boston's.
Also, last night we had a Hail Mary. I don't know if you watched the end of the Bucks and Bills.
It's about as close to if he just turns around. If Godwin turns around,
Dude,
he catches it.
well, you know, the world knows
Yeah.
that I am one of the leading Hail Mary coaches
Yes.
in all of the world.
It's one of your really platforms, along with the 33% less tea, the no loud mufflers, and
It's 31.6.
31.6,
Close,
and knock down the Hail Mary.
yeah. And 4-day work week.
Yeah.
But yes, the Hail Mary, it just stuns me how often like, have you ever seen a guy wide open on a Hail Mary?
Not,
Because that happened.
I can't say that it was like a game of lawn darts and no one wanted to get hit. Like sometimes you see the Hail Mary and it's off of the tip, or, you know, it gets thrown a little long and someone, you know, kind of undercuts it. But to have it be in the middle
Yes.
of, I don't know,
Right in the middle.
8 guys
Yeah. At least.
jumbled up there in the
Godwin
end
was
zone?
wide open.
Never seen it.
He dropped it right in his cradle.
Never seen
He
it.
just wasn't paying attention to the ball, which goes back to my whole thing on Hail Marys.
Seems like that would be important on that play.
Well.
Yeah, it's just like, why do guys, and the defenders weren't watching it either.
Or Orlovsky had a nice breakdown of this, and he is right. He explained this, that
Why do you not watch just the ball?
Okay, so here's actually the Hail Mary, believe it or not, has there's a game plan to it. It's not just, you know, Red Rover, let Art come on
It's
over.
not a very good game plan, but are you talking about defense or offense?
Both. Which, by the way, there was 19 pass interference penalties also on that play, which I do appreciate that the NFL will not.
Yeah, they're not
call.
going to call that.
I don't remember what the receivers. So Godwin was in the middle, Evans was in the back. I don't remember who was in front for the Broncos, or not Broncos, but Buccaneers. But 2 defenders for the Bills grabbed him and I believe assaulted him.
Yeah,
I
they
believe-
just took him out of the play.
Yeah, they just grabbed
him by the waist.
Yeah, and then they just shoved Mike Evans, just shoved him. So, but basically what you have in those situations, and there's different versions of it, but you can clearly see that this is what Tampa was doing, is you have a short guy, you have a deep guy, and then you have 2 tip guys. So the way to set up is that whoever was in front for the Bucks, that he was the short guy. Evans was the guy in the back. And then you have 2 guys. You have one closer to the short and one closer to the back.
Okay.
And the short guy and the long guy, their whole job is to try to go high point the ball and catch it. And you put them about, 8 yards apart. And that's the idea, is if the ball ends up being thrown short or it ends up being a little longer, you've got 2 guys there. And that's the whole job, is they go high point it. The other 2, and Godwin would be one of these guys. Your whole job is to not go up and get the ball. You are not to go up and high point it. You are waiting for the tip. You are waiting for just how many times do we see the collision of bodies? Everyone's getting pushed, everyone's getting shoved, and that ball usually is not caught one way or another. It's not intercepted, it's not caught. It is either batted or is it tipped, and their job is there to catch the tip. So when you look at Godwin, he's looking at Mike Evans. There's another Bucs receiver that's there looking at the short guy, and once the ball kind of goes over his head, then he turns. But Godwin was looking at Mike Evans. He was not meant to look at the ball. He was looking at Mike Evans and waiting for Evans to jump. When he didn't see Evans, that's when he turned. So believe it or not, he was doing what he was supposed to do, which was watching Mike Evans and waiting for the tip.
Yeah, all of that. Okay, there's a big flaw in that. And that is that if Evans doesn't do what he's supposed to, then neither will Godwin.
Yeah.
And the reality of a Hail Mary is all you really need is one guy. Yeah. At least you want all 4 of them to be paying attention to where the ball is. But if one doesn't, then the other one doesn't if he's reading off the other guy.
Yeah.
So that's dumb. So they should hire me as Hail Mary coach. And I would tell Godwin, watch the ball. Yeah. Keep an eye on Evans, but let's watch the football.
And I just was late.
What's that?
He did. He just turned around late.
Well, dude, he was wide open on a Hail Mary.
I've never seen anything like it.
I've never seen anything like. Now, I'm coming at this less from the Bucs point of view, where that is that. I mean, I think Godwin should be watching the ball, but whatever. That's how they coach it. Fine. How do the Bills allow a guy right in the middle of the Hail Mary to be wide open?
I think the other one too is when you watch that play. Another pass interference was on the Bills defender grabbing Godwin around the waist. And I think that was one of the reasons it took a while for Godwin to spin around.
Yeah.
If you go back and watch the play, he's got his arm wrapped around him and is like grabbing his jersey, and Godwin's kind of pulling away. And then when he does, the Bills defender falls down. He does like a whirly bird thing because it was such a bad hold in PI. And then when he gets thrown down, now there's no one there. It's just Godwin standing there. So they doubled the receiver in front, they doubled Evans in the back, and then they had the 2 tip guys basically playing one-on-one. So when the Bills defender gets thrown down on his illegal hold, which should have been called, that's how Godwin ends up just being so open.
The illegal hold. See, I'm okay with the Bills running it that way because
they're like
seriously,
they're like throw the flag,
and that's
Do
why
it.
they coach it.
Never
right?
happened.
They're coaching their team, saying, "Hey, you can do whatever you want. They're not going to call. They're
Pretty
not going to
much.
throw a flag."
Yeah.
So that's how you should defend it until they change that, right? But I still do not understand how they do not tell their defenders to look at the ball. Not one of them knew the ball was coming.
No.
It's just
they were
maddening.
They were only jockeying for position. And
yes.
if you do that and look for the ball, fine. But you can't just jockey for position.
But they also just followed the receiver.
Yes.
Why? The receiver could be in the wrong spot. Who cares where the receiver is? He ain't catching the ball if he is not if he's not around the ball. Yeah. It's like a jump ball, right? It's like 500. This isn't. I think they coach it as, we're just defending this. I think they should view it as, we need to get that football.
Yeah.
You don't have to catch it. That's the advantage we have. They have to catch it. But you better not give them a chance to catch it, right? So part of that is go up and be as aggressive as they are because they're not going to call pass interference. So you need to know where the ball is.
The only thing, and again, I don't necessarily disagree with you. I'm just playing devil's advocate.
Dude, it makes no sense.
I'm just playing devil's advocate. And the only thing I can think of, because it's not like I was in a bunch of these meetings. I was in plenty of offensive meetings, but I was never in the full-on, hey, Hail Mary meeting. I saw it out at practice. Every now and then you'd run it. And especially with a guy like Mike Evans. And I wonder if the idea is, okay, let's follow your logic of, hey, we're just following the ball.
Oh, and before you finish, there were 3 or 4 Bills defenders starting on the goal line.
Yes.
You saw that, right?
Yes.
So once they got the 5-yard penalty, then they were able to Hail Mary. So they changed up the defense on that last play, and I think there were 3 Bills defenders starting on the goal line. So they are not running. They're just waiting for the ball, and they still didn't see where the ball was.
7 Bills defenders were in the mush, the pile there when the ball fell. 7 of them.
But I think some of them are up at the line of scrimmage following the receivers.
Yes, there's a handful.
But there's still 3 of them that are back there that have nothing to do but watch the ball.
Watch the ball.
And they didn't see the ball.
That's the only thing. Again, I'm just trying to play devil's advocate.
I want to hear
Just
this.
playing devil's advocate. You've got Mike Evans, who's 6'5" and can jump like a deer. And the only thing I can think of, especially because they sent 3 guys at Mike Evans, but 3. So that's not coincidence. 3 guys were like, hey, see Mike Evans there? He doesn't catch that effing ball. I don't care what else you do, he doesn't catch the ball. Because if you've got 4 or 5 guys back there that say, hey, you have to go high point that ball, you go get it, right? All you've done now is you have created a big, massive humanity right where the ball is coming down, right? And you're all going up to get it.
Okay.
And you have arguably the most athletic, high point receiver in the game, one of the best to ever do it. And he's coming up from behind, a la a rebound, and there is no over the back. And Mike Evans is going to get up over the top of that.
Yeah.
And when that happens, and if there is the tip drill, right, which is what the Hail Mary is really not designed for Mike Evans or anyone else to really go up and catch the ball. The idea is if you can go up and get your hands on and create the tip, which is why the Bucs have multiple players like Godwin sitting there. And that if the ball is tipped like that and you have this massive humanity with 5 or 6 defenders and Mike Evans goes up over the top, my one guy can go up and tip the ball and he has now taken out your 5 or 6 defenders. And now I've got 2 or 3 other receivers waiting outside of that pile, waiting for the ball to be tipped.
Well, but I think the advantage is that the Bills have more guys than the Bucs back there.
Yes. I'm just saying that to
So,
me is
if
that's the argument and why they're running it. this
Sure,
way.
I get that, but you have more guys. You have the numbers. So
Yes.
you can put 2 guys on the tip bros.
Yeah.
And you can absolutely assault them and maul them out of the play.
Yes, you can.
Okay, so now, and I get the point about Evans is a good one. That's the guy that's going to go up and get the ball over anybody, right?
Yes.
So you do probably have a guy key on him and make sure you're shoving his ass out of the
Or
way.
3 in this case.
But I also think that if you just watch the ball, you would be in better position to get the ball.
Sure.
And he would be in a lesser position because he has to run down there and set up. You don't. You're already there.
I can't disagree with you. That's why I said,
Dude, they should hire me.
I'm just playing devil's advocate and telling you that some of the stuff that happened in that, there is
Yeah, I get it.
there is a
there is
a reason and a logic of why they're being coached to do that.
That's true of everything that happens on a football field.
Yeah.
Okay, there's always a reason and logic, but as you well know, having played, some of this stuff is antiquated as hell.
Absolutely.
It makes no sense. It's just the way it's done.
Yeah.
They just need to hire a Hail Mary coach. He sits right here in Portland, Oregon. He hosts a sports radio show. I won't even charge that much money. Bring me in, and you know what? If I'm
Hail
a
Mary consultant,
Hail or whatever, sure.
analyst.
You don't have to make me a full-on coach.
Yeah.
If I am hired, I think they're going to start running Hail Marys as regular plays.
I think when you look back,
But I don't know if I'm a defensive coach or an offensive coach. I think I'm better.
well, you can do both.
Yeah, I'm better at the defensive side. Like, I just feel like there's no excuse to give up a Hail Mary. But
No.
yet, dumb things like that happen all the time where the ball falls right in the middle of 10 guys.
Yep.
How does that happen?
Well, and the one that I don't fully understand is, to me, I would rush 5.
Yeah.
I would, because
Yeah, get after him.
you get after
Speed
him.
him up.
Because Baker, by the way, had a nice little wiggle to even get out of there. It
Yeah.
takes a lot of juice to wind up and throw. So a lot of times Hail Marys never even get off the ground because don't allow
Yeah.
the quarterback. So
Yeah, that's an extra guy, too.
yeah.
You got extra guys.
But it's Hail Marys have come close more than you think.
Well,
And it's always a sliver off because it's such a massive humanity. And
it's
I'm
a
telling
scary
you,
play.
go back and look at the Patriots' 2 Super Bowls, the one against the Eagles and the perfect one against the Giants. Go back and watch the end of those games because the Patriots got Hail Marys on both of those. And I'm telling you, both of those balls could have been caught. I think one was Edelman against the Eagles, and the other one, I believe, was Gronk. And if it was Gronk and Randy Moss, and that's the one that if he just keeps running, he just doesn't give up on the play, he catches the tip on the Hail Mary, and the Patriots win that Super Bowl. Like, those plays are often like that, where
They're very close.
there are so many Hail Marys where you can look up and just be like, God, if he just turned around, if he just paid attention, if he had just moved a foot more to this side. But there's such a chaotic play that it's really kind of a fog of war. Like,
I
I
get
don't know.
it. They are, but they don't have to be because the defense has the advantage.
Yeah.
That it doesn't have to be as chaotic as you make it.
Well, again, someone's
Bills.
saying you need to get in Dan Lanning's staff meetings. This
Oh,
is how
dude.
you start.
No, somebody asked, you should ask Dan Lanning this next week, and I'm telling you, the second that play happened, I wrote that
That's
down in my
Ask
notes
Dan
to
Lanning.
ask Dan Lanning about this. I do. I'm
Can I
serious.
be the Ducks Hail Mary coach?
Or does he have one?
No, I want to know his thoughts on strategically defending. He's a defensive coach.
Yes.
I want to know his thoughts on strategically defending the Hail Mary. And damn it, guys, it might be really in depth.
Do you think it'll be contentious if he doesn't do it right? Like, do you think you'll be?
I'll
telling
try
him
to
a thing or
hold.
two?
I'll try to hold my ideas back. But maybe I start at Oregon.
Listen, Dan. Here's what you're getting wrong.
I can't wait for this.
Dan, I don't understand this.
Talk to me.
All right. So anyway, the Bills won. Let's come back and talk about them real quick while we wrap up the last night in sports, and then we'll look ahead to some of these games coming up. But the Bills,
yeah, I know.
eh,
Well, they looked good for a while, and then it's the NFL. Man.
but it's early. Let's first go to Buck with SportsCenter.
This is a Football Friday edition of Primetime.
Browns. Some good ones. Oh, and LeBron last night. LeBron versus KD. That was really good.
First time in 5 years.
Yeah, that was.
And LeBron said, "Screw
know.
the minutes restrictions." He
Yeah.
said, "I'm doing my own thing."
He was excellent,
Yeah.
and that was compelling. You know, the NBA. We were talking about the poll question and how the biggest sports yawn right now for our listeners. Yesterday, they voted the NBA games, and that's partly because the Blazers. You know, it's going to be a long year.
It's 2 thumbs. Meh.
But you know, the top of the league. You got to admit, it's pretty fun, man.
Absolutely.
With Lillard doing what he did, and then watching KD, LeBron. I mean, I don't know how many teams you put in that category. It's not all that many, but that was pretty good TV.
And then James Harden was at some house party last night wearing all white. The NBA is investigating why he wasn't at the game. I don't think you have to investigate very much. We've got video of him at the party. I mean, that's
well, and also there were reports they barred him from the team plane that was gonna go out of town.
Yeah, I guess he showed up at the
Well,
airport, tried to get on the plane, and the Sixers were like,
Fine, I'll go
"Yeah,
drink."
Yeah, no.
So he's gonna try to do this bit where he comes and goes.
Yeah.
And really pisses them off.
Yeah.
And they're just saying, you know what? We don't want you.
They were saying that he needed to go back to work with the developmental guys because they could track his fitness better. they wanted him to stay in Philadelphia where their like heart rate monitors are. Like, cool. And then his heart rate was doing something else. You know, it looked like he was having
a weird situation.
Looked like he was having a good time.
Well, anyway, wrapping up the Bills game. You know, the Bills are weird, and it is early, and you always want your teams to be, you know, shaky or even struggling or, you know, not clicking on all cylinders at this part of the season as opposed to 2 months from now.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
Or a month and a half, whatever. But, boy, I don't know how you feel about the Bills' chances of getting it together for a Super Bowl run.
I don't know because the defense is the defense is better than it has been. Like I think it's legit because there's so many times that we talk about the Bills defense and then it kind of lets you down. And so maybe this is just the same version we keep talking about Buffalo where you feel like, well, no, the defense this year they're going to get it. You know, for much of that game, it was 24-10. You felt real good about it.
But the dumb penalties.
Yeah, the dumb penalties, and they still don't run the ball like particularly well. And Allen still has moments that kind of scare you a little bit. It just kind of feels like a little bit of a rinse and repeat. And then I really like Buffalo. I think Buffalo is a good team, but it feels like the best version of them may have been 3 or 4 years ago, and other teams keep getting better. And I can't say that Buffalo has. Like,
why do you think that is?
I don't know.
Do you think it's McDermott? Because I have a quick little game to play with him.
There are definitely people that feel like they have a Tony Dungy situation going on and down in Tampa, where those Bucs teams under Dungy were good, and they played really good defense, and they were there and they won a lot of games, and it ultimately was decided that it wasn't enough, and they had to bring in a better offensive mind, and they did. They ditched Dungy. And I'll look up his record in Tampa, but it was excellent. And they brought in Gruden, and he was viewed as kind of the mercenary that was going to come in there and finally kind of revamp their offense. Now I get that, Brad Johnson isn't Josh Allen, but he took him to a Super Bowl with Dungy's guys. And I do think there are some people that believe that is what needs to happen in Buffalo.
Yeah, that's an interesting comparison. McDermott, 66-38.
Yeah. It's one of the best in the NFL over that time period.
Okay, the quick game I wanted to play with you is which coach would you rather have? Okay, so I'm going to give you McDermott. And by the way, the punt,
Which one is bothering you? Because most of those were 4th and 6 or longer.
No, it's none of that bothers me. It's just because we have to be careful because when we sit and, Dan Lanning, for example, gets a lot of crap for being too aggressive, right?
Yeah.
The flip side of that is, well, you got a guy who got out of there with a win. McDermott, the Bills did not lose that game.
No.
Although they certainly allowed the Bucs to hang around with penalties and cowardly punts and that's how you lose on a Hail Mary at the end of the game, a fluke play.
And every one of their punts,
you let the team hang around.
Every one of their punts in that fourth quarter when the Bucs had pulled within one score, they were all basically midfield punts.
They were all midfield, or I think 2 of them were on
right
Tampa's side. But yeah, he punted 4 times, 4th and 6 or less. Yeah. Now, again, this is why you have to tread lightly. Those weren't terrible decisions. You won the game, and your defense was playing well, and you just didn't have any faith that Baker Mayfield was going to drive him down. Well, Baker Mayfield drove him down. Again, a couple stops on fourth down, but they made penalties, really dumb penalties, and so they got out of there with the win. But it was it just wasn't convincing. And McDermott kind of has a little bit of this, we're going to screw this up sort of feel about him.
Sure.
They just don't put their foot on teams' throats. That's scary.
Yeah. And also with a team that doesn't feel like the run game has ever really materialized, and where you play in Buffalo, like you would think that those would be teams that need to be built, again, with a defensive-minded guy. You would think that there would be more of a robust run game, but it doesn't ever really feel like it's happening. I just think that it's one of those teams that's really good, and they're like the LaMarcus Aldridge of the NFL, and that they're really good, or Rasheed Wallace, any one of these guys that they're really good. You like them. They put up really good numbers, and they always leave you wanting a little bit more.
Yeah, they haven't got over the hump, but they have a star quarterback, and I don't know. It's a weird one. Okay, so now we have to break, but when we come back, I've just got a few names to run by you.
Okay.
Because I don't think Sean McDermott is that good. I think they've got a really good roster.
You're not that guy.
And they've got a really good quarterback, and McDermott is holding them back. I feel that. But, you start to look at other coaches and go, okay, who would you rather have? We'll do that next. 350 on the Fan.
Oregon Ducks football is on the Fan.
Swings it out to Bucky. 40, 30, a blocker downfield. Go to the 10, go to the 5, go to the
46-38 is his record with the Bills. Very good. No Super Bowl, though. Elite quarterback.
The closest they came was, they botched that one against, what was it, 17 seconds or whatever to the
Yeah.
Chiefs. They had them beat.
And
That's
that's it. It's that stuff right there.
Yeah.
Like just
and by the way, it's gotten worse. Like each
Yes.
time each
Yes.
season, it's been a
Yes.
step back.
well, and they tried to do that crap last night.
Yeah.
And I don't know. The Dungy thing is a really interesting. That's a really interesting comparison because nobody's saying McDermott's not
He's a good coach.
good or
He's done a nice job.
I guess put it this way.
I mean, it's Bellotti and Chip too. You know,
What?
Mike Bellotti was a really solid foundational coach, but he didn't get him into the national picture like
Yeah.
Chip did.
Well, yeah, in college is a little. I mean, talent level. I feel like the Bills have had Super Bowl caliber teams,
Sure.
rosters. I mean,
Yeah.
and so I guess maybe the better question is: can Sean McDermott win a Super Bowl with the Bills? Can they win with Sean McDermott?
Mm.
I don't know. They haven't yet. Who would you rather have over Sean McDermott? Okay. We know the obvious guys: Pete Carroll,
Sure.
Mike Tomlin, Andy Reid.
Really good piece, by the way, on Pete Carroll in The Athletic. You should give it a read.
Oh yeah.
Excellent.
So talk about what kind of gum he chews.
It talks about what it's just, he is a very, very unique guy and what it's like to be around and be on a team with Pete Carroll. Just side note, one of those days, put it in the tickle trunk, worth reading, and we could talk about it one of these days.
Well,
But yes,
I was
easily.
I was listening to that promo. During the last break, we had the promo with Dirt and Sprague, and they had a guy talking about what's going on at USC, and I did think about Pete Carroll because they're so cookie dough soft.
Yeah. And they've really haven't been tough since he left.
Exactly. It's like, well, I don't know. Orgeron kind of had a little. In other words, my thought process was because we're gonna talk about this Lincoln Riley quote coming up,
Mhm.
and it's funny because he's already starting to squawk about the softness of California players and this and that. So he's even pointing fingers. Like not even the great Lincoln Riley can come in and make
Even the team
USC.
that's recruited
But-
from all over.
but
is
can
soft
make
in
them-
Bunch
California.
of kid yeses.
Not even Lincoln Riley can come in and make him tough.
Yeah.
But I wonder if there's something in USC inherently soft that you really do need a tougher minded coach. You just do. Like Lincoln Riley's not really that guy. I mean, he's an offensive guy. Anyway, we'll get to that, and Pete Carroll will be a part of that. Ron Rivera, Sean McDermott. Who do you want?
Gosh, I still think I'd take Sean McDermott.
Really?
Yeah, I'm not as high on Ron Rivera as other people. I know Rivera is, kind of gets this, he's a steadying force and a great leader. I'll take McDermott. I think McDermott is a good defensive mind. And just, I don't know. I think I don't love Sean McDermott, but some of that I actually blame on the GM and not just McDermott. We can talk about that too. I think he hasn't always been given everything that he needs. I think sometimes as an organization, they've been lazy with the roster.
Well, Rivera got to the Super Bowl,
Yeah, he did with Carolina.
and McDermott hasn't.
No,
What about O'Connell? You like that guy?
I do. I like him a lot.
The Minnesota coach?
Yes. Again, in today's NFL, I would always take the offensive guy.
Okay.
So
You'll take LaFleur.
I would.
You'll take
Well, I
Arthur
don't-
Smith.
LaFleur, I don't know. The whole Jordan Love thing.
Dable.
Yes, I would certainly take Dable. I wouldn't take LaFleur. Well, LaFleur's with Aaron Rodgers. I might take LaFleur. I don't know if I would say Arthur Smith, but yes, I will always lean towards an offensive mind in today's NFL.
What about Stefanski? You want him over Sean McDermott?
No. Again,
No?
this is not a me hating on McDermott. I just feel like, and again, I'm assuming you're talking about in Buffalo and not just starting.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm saying
Yes.
you can upgrade to these coaches.
Yes, I would. I would upgrade to an offensive minded
You'd
guy.
take Stefan. Would you take McCarthy? He's an offensive guy.
No, I wouldn't take McCarthy, and I wouldn't take and Stefanski. No,
All right.
that's a-
So you'll
that's a
take
pass.
Dable.
I would. If to me, if you took Dable, and by the way, Dable was in Buffalo when they were having their best runs. And I think when he left, and I'm not saying that Josh Allen in the offense, I mean, it's one of the better offenses in the NFL. But again, doesn't it leave you something to be desired? They were up, 24-10, and they had, 4 or 5 punts in a row where they couldn't finish drives. And as good as Josh Allen is, I don't think Josh Allen has looked nearly as good since Brian Dable left. So yes, I said it at the time when I saw what he did with the Giants. To me, I think it's easier to bring in a defensive coordinator and build a defense than it is to go find an offensive coordinator. To me, this league is about throwing the football, quarterbacks, and offensive coordinators.
What about
and having a head coach that can do that and be that guy for me? I will take him every time.
Doug Peterson would run circles around Sean McDermott. Doug Peterson doesn't get the love that he deserves.
No.
And Super Bowl champion, and he still doesn't get that.
Yeah.
But what about so I'll give you another defensive guy.
Mhm.
So you have to pick one of these two defensive guys,
Sure.
Robert Saleh or Sean McDermott.
No, again, I'll take McDermott because there's a track record there.
Vrabel.
I take Vrabel. I really like him. And I know this year in Tennessee, that's not going his way. But again, I think his roster has let him down.
Dan Campbell.
Yeah, it's interesting.
That is interesting.
That's
isn't
interesting. I think taking my emotions aside, I still think I would take Sean McDermott.
it? All right,
Again,
so you like McDermott better than I do.
I do. I like McDermott. I just don't think he is. I don't think he is elite. And when I look at their roster construction, and some of this too, again, let's their injuries on the defensive side of the ball have been rough this year. When you talk about losing not your best defensive lineman, but when you talk about losing for the year, you lost your best corner in White, you lost your best linebacker in Milano, who is one of the best linebackers period in the NFL, and then you lost who is their defensive lineman that they lost? And I don't necessarily think they've officially listed him out for the year, but he tore his pec. And, I know J.J. Watt came back, but it was Daquan Jones. So, I mean, you've lost one of your most valuable defensive linemen, your best linebacker, your best DB, and Oliver has missed some times there. And so, that sucks. And so maybe I'll give the defense a little bit of a slack. They haven't been able to stop the run.
And it's early still.
It's early. But
defenses get hot.
But when I look at what you've put around Josh Allen, I still think when you look at like what Philly has put around Jalen Hurts, when I look at what KC has put around Patrick Mahomes, when I look at what Cincinnati managed to put around Joe Burrow, and the Bills' offensive line has been good, not great. Sometimes it's been average. They've never found a consistent running back to go with him. I know they made the effort with Zach Moss, and he's looked good in Indy, but they've never been able to find a consistent back there for him. And I don't know. I look at that and I think that Buffalo could have done a better job going all in. I think they thought that if they just let their roster marinate and cook, that they would be able to rinse and repeat. And if you look around the rest of the NFL, people got better. Like they're like, look what Miami did. Miami's not like sitting on anyone's hands, or sitting on their hands. Miami's going all in. There's teams making big moves, and I feel like a lot of times the Buffalo kind of sits back and just does the, we'll just kind of try to incrementally get better.
Yeah, I get that.
And I don't know if I put that on McDermott.
But how do you lose to the Patriots? See, I mean, some of that is
bad.
overarching.
It's bad.
Bigger picture stuff.
Yes.
I'm talking about just watch them this year.
Yeah.
They lost to the Patriots and damn near tried to lose to the Bucks.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. I don't care what you've done to the roster, how many injuries you have. You should be taking care of business.
Look,
Other teams do it.
if you asked me,
Baltimore's doing it.
if I'm Buffalo and I fall short this year, and by the way, Buffalo's not going to win the Super Bowl. They're going to fall short. It would not, and I was the owner, I would not make a change for the sake of change. You know what I mean? I don't.
You got to know you got to get the right guy.
You got to get your guy.
Josh Allen's guy.
But
whoever
if
that is.
But if there is, like, for instance, a couple years ago with Mike McDaniel,
Ooh.
I would roll the dice.
Yeah.
If there was an OC out there, Brian Dable, you had him, he left. But if you had an OC out there that was like, hey, I really you ask around the league and they're like, dude, this is the guy. This is the next guy. Shane Steichen, by the way, might be this guy. What he's doing in Indy with what he was doing with Richardson, who can't throw the ball, and Gardner Minshew, and their offense is putting up 20+ points every single game. He may end up being that guy. You find me that guy, and if I'm Buffalo ownership, I can look at that and be like, as good as McDermott is, this is the Dungy thing. It's not ever going to get to where we need it to go. We need a change, because the only way this team is really winning a Super Bowl is if Josh Allen goes from elite quarterback, and he is, to otherworldly, put our team on your back. And I don't think that's going to happen in this offense, and I don't think it's going to happen under Sean McDermott.
All right, what Lincoln Riley said about California players and big games for the Seahawks, Ducks, and Beavers. Are any of them going down this weekend? We will get to those items in our next hour of radio broadcast, 4:04 on The Fan. one.
Well, I don't think so, because to me, the Bills are one of the more compelling stories in the NFL because we keep getting told that they're elite. We keep getting told that Josh Allen is one of the Bills and Allen are one of the 3 or 4 best teams and best players in the NFL. And when you come up short with that, that conversation needs to be had. Like, I think that way about the Chargers. Like, you want to talk about a weird team. The Chargers are completely irrelevant, and yet we keep talking about them because there's all pros on every level, and we get told that that's a team that should be a Super Bowl type team, and we get told that Justin Herbert is a top 4 quarterback in the league, and yet, look at what they do. At least the Bills win.
That they do.
The Chargers, you want to talk about a coach that needs to be fired tomorrow.
Go
Staley.
Chargers, go.
Right there.
Yeah.
Again, go hire the best offensive mind that you can go find.
If he loses to the Bears, you think he gets turfed?
Yes.
You think Spanos turfs him?
Fire him and see if you can go pay Ben Johnson, the Lions offensive coordinator, like $10 million to leave in mid-season.
Where's Jim Bob Cooter?
I don't know what
Fire that guy.
I don't know what Jim Bob's up
Well,
to.
look, okay, let's move on. We're running out of time. It's a busy Friday. We've got Rop in the Bank in about an hour. Joey Harrington will join us. We'll look at Oregon and Utah. I wanted to read you this Lincoln Riley quote. They're interesting too. It is true. Like, oftentimes when good teams or seemingly good teams struggle, that's when the conversation gets the juiciest, right? It's like the dirty little secret of sports talk is that when the home team is struggling or losing, it's actually better for, selfishly, for that business. USC, boy, they've got to be having a field day down in LA right now.
Yeah.
Here we go again with soft ass USC. And there was a quote today circulating from Lincoln Riley, who has pneumonia, but he is back, and they're saying he's going to coach this weekend against Cal. And it is about recruiting. So I'll just read this to you. He says, quote, as far as recruiting, whether it be national or local, to me, it's kind of all the same. How do you build the best roster you can of the guys that are available to go recruit? Because at the end of the day, if you go win the national championship and you have a roster mixed from all over the country, nobody's going to say, well, that's great, you won a title, but you don't have 80% local guys. The flip side is, if you don't have a good year, they're not going to say, well, at least he has a bunch of California kids on his team. You clearly have to do a great job locally. But like I told you guys when I got here, it's about getting the right guys. I think in my evaluation of the program, when we got here and started looking at the roster, I think there were a lot of players from the state of California that, in my opinion, should not be on the USC roster for one reason or another. Hiding behind the curtain of, well, at least we're recruiting California kids doesn't do the program any good. Yeah, we want to get California kids. We want to get local kids. We want them to be the right kids, the right kind of kids, right kind of students, right kind of players that fit what we're building, not ones that go against the grain of what we're building. Boy, isn't that a shot at his current team?
If that's not a shot at the roster when you took over, and look, most of their, I think it's, I'll have to look it up. I want to say 7 of their defensive starters are all transfers. So, and by the way, they're not California kids.
So what is that, Suk? You've been in a locker room. Have you had a coach take shots at the team? And that can't make things better, right?
That's
those guys are mostly still there. He's pretty new there still.
Exactly.
It's a little awkward. It's a little awkward.
He's starting to point fingers, man.
Yes.
In that, you don't hear coaches do that too often.
Well, but I mean,
Not to the college kids usually.
Deion did it. I mean, Deion came in and famously just told every one of those kids that most of you aren't going to be here. Start hitting the portal because I'm bringing in better kids. And by the way,
but he did that before the season started, not halfway through when people are starting to say you're not doing good
my guess is that he's already let those people know. When you bring in Bear Alexander and you bring in Mason Cobb and you bring in these transfers, I mean, you're essentially telling them you're not good enough. But I think what Lincoln Riley is saying here is even the transfers that I brought in aren't good enough. And
was it more of that, or was he also hinting at some?
Well, he was talking about the history of USC, of the idea of there's when you are USC or you're Georgia or Alabama, if you look at Alabama's team, you will find an ton of guys from Alabama. Same thing with Georgia. Ohio State has that. There's certainly the Florida teams. There's an idea that as long as you put up a fence around your state, Louisiana, you're going to be fine. And that was always the thing in California, right?
Because it's such fertile
recruiting grounds. Like, we don't need to go anywhere else. We have to keep our kids home. Well, first off, you aren't dominating California anymore. Oregon comes in and takes a lot of those kids. Oregon is been a death blow for you in recruiting. And from a national standpoint anymore, it's not – the regional recruiting thing is certainly changing because, dude, kids out of California are leaving left and right. We talked about this a number of years with the quarterbacks around that weren't staying at USC and, having to go other places and were willing to go other places. And so I think one of the things that he's talking about there is this notion of if we just put a fence around us, we're going to be fine. He's saying that's a lie. You're not going to be fine. You have to think outside of the box. You have to think bigger nationally. And, USC always gets the label of maybe being too traditional and too caught up in having a USC guy. And this is the way we've done it in the past. And I think Riley is saying, hey, man, if you want to live in the past, cool, but you're not going to we're not winning national titles this way.
Yeah. I mean, I heard him, and maybe I'm reading too much into it, but towards the end there, I heard him kind of taking some shots at some attitudes.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. Yes.
Yeah, against what we do.
The stuffiness of USC, they think that they're Alabama, right? And I think his point is you can't think like that because you're not Alabama. You're not winning national championships.
Do you think that USC, and the Lincoln Riley hire, and no one's saying it was a terrible hire.
No,
it wasn't.
No. Lincoln Riley can coach.
He absolutely can, and their offense is if he stays there, they should be fine with him.
Yes.
At the same time, do you think, and I see why they hired him, great fit, flashy offense, that's the big thing, and USC, obviously, at all the skill position, the whole thing, synergistic. But do you think it's the opposite of the way they should be thinking at USC? Like we were talking about Pete Carroll, the defensive guy, that's the guy, the toughness guy, the Orgeron. Like, do they need to go down that road, even though that's sort of counterintuitive to what USC is?
I thought it was a great hire when they went and got Lincoln Riley. To me, when Lincoln Riley fit California and the flash and the style of all that.
Yeah, but I'm saying is maybe it's the opposite. Maybe it's.
And that's what I'm saying. I was under the impression that Lincoln Riley at USC, unlike Oklahoma, would be able to attract enough kids and go get a hammer DC and build a defense there. I really did. And in 2 years, it's only been 2 years, we haven't seen that. And if this is going to be the identity of your team, the transfer portal and offensive skilled guys and really having no toughness or identity on defense, if that is going to be your MO, you are going to have season after season after season of disappointment. You just are.
Well, yeah. So I think that maybe it's somebody there needs to be looking at this going, well, obviously there's something in the water at USC. They've long had this reputation of being soft and flashy and, maybe you have to overdo the toughness side of it, the defensive side of it, and really focus on that in order to balance that out. Because even Lincoln Riley, as good as he is, dude, that team ain't right. Something's not right. They can't defend anyone.
Nope.
Even their offense looks. I mean, he's starting to take shots at players. Like Caleb Williams looks like a prima donna. Like it's as good as he and some of his Oklahoma teams had this kind of soft label too. They weren't very good defensively.
They look like a paper tiger,
and that's a bad fit. Even though it seems like a good fit at USC, it's actually a bad fit because there you have to overdo the defensive toughness side of it. Dan Lanning.
It can be done because with Pete Carroll, you had studs on that side of the ball, from Clay Matthews to Ray Malaluga to Sean Ellis to Darnell Bing, Taylor Mays. You had dudes on that other side of the ball, and you cranked out offensive linemen, and you had Sam Baker, and you had all these great Ryan Khalil, both Khalil brothers. You had dudes, you had tight ends that were beastly guys. And it does feel like the USC has kind of become a little bit of a bunch of, I don't know if I can say that word. I was gonna say something. They've kind of become candy asses.
Well, they've always had that though. Since Carroll, they've had that. They had that under Lane Kiffin, and he wasn't bad, but they had that reputation. Yeah. That is. To me, that is what that school is.
Yeah. And
unless you hire a great defensive, tough coach.
Yeah. And the other one too that I'd be interested in, and they'll never do it. And Alabama hasn't done this, Penn State hasn't done it, but I really think that in today's world, I think the USC hanging on tradition hurts them. I really do. When you talk to kids, USC does not have a cool factor that some of the other schools have. And I'm not certain that their old tradition rings true to a lot of those kids, and they are not willing to do some of the sexy program building things that other schools are willing to do. So I think that USC is kind of falling behind, not just in like what you said, not, cultural identity and toughness and all that, but I just think in general, I'm not certain that USC is viewed as a cool place, even though it's freaking Los Angeles.
It's like Notre Dame.
It should be the easiest place in the world to sell cool, and I'm not certain that it's the cool place on. Well, I know that. I don't think it's necessarily the cool place to play in college football or even on the West Coast, period.
Yeah, I agree with that. But you think Notre Dame's got a little bit of that too?
I do think Notre Dame has a little bit
They
of that.
live off of that Golden Dome past, and it's like,
and for a lot
do
of
kids
kids
really care?
A lot of national kids that didn't grow up in the shadow of that. I don't think a lot of Florida and Texas kids are enamored with the dun, 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 dun. No names on the back of the jerseys, 2 jerseys, 1 white, one red. Really not innovative, playing a stadium that's big but doesn't necessarily have a great crowd, and it's not a great college environment. And I think the cool factor for USC just isn't what it was. And when Pete was there, Pete made that LA's team. But now you've got 2 teams in LA. You got 2 NFL teams. And I don't know, you can be great at USC. I just don't know if it's the job that it was 20 years ago.
Well, I wonder how long Lincoln Riley will be there. I think he's out of there with Caleb Williams. But
Well, you got to figure out how to, if you're going to find another quarterback, you better figure out how to grow your team a pair of balls, because they don't have one.
They're not. Yeah, something's weird. All right, up next, let's look at the local teams before we get to In the News. It is 4:22 on The Fan.
It's time for Building a Winner. A look at the athletes, coaches, and teams putting it together. Built by Sherway Building Centers.
High pick and roll, find one of his shooters in the corner.
Screen from Davis, takes it in. James puts it in. Oh, he buzzsaws his way for 2.
LeBron played the whole fourth quarter. They said that he is the second player ever to play the entire fourth quarter in his 21st season or later.
Nick, you can hate
behind the other guy is Vince Carter.
You can hate LeBron all you want, but that dude, the way he takes care of himself, and he's not what he once was, but at his age, it's ridiculous that he's able to go out and do that.
They came back and beat Phoenix last night. Sherway Building Centers is your locally owned outdoor project and remodeling store. Start your project at sherway.com.
It's The Fan on demand.
I'm going to give it to you.
Give it to me.
Service Patriots.
this game.
Speaking of tough coaches, go hire Kyle Whittingham.
Or Dan Lanning. I think Lanning's got a little bit of this.
Oh yeah,
Tough defensive guy.
Again, Oregon right now, and it's not just because of Lanning, but Oregon is on pace to sign the #1 defensive class in the country. And you know where a lot of those kids are from? California.
Yeah. It's got to make you salivate if you're a Duck fan.
And if you're a USC fan, you're pulling your hair out, which is why USC didn't want Oregon to come to the Big Ten.
Yeah, well,
Whoops.
they're coming.
How'd that work?
Didn't seem to work.
No.
So who do you think is more likely to be upset? Oregon at Utah
Mm-hmm.
or Oregon State at Arizona?
God, I'm taking the Ducks and I'm taking the Beavs, but I might lean a little bit more towards Oregon being upset because Rice Eccles is a tough place to play. It's one of the toughest places to play in the country, and they've had good battles with Oregon. And there's something about that place going on the road. Oregon has not been nearly as good on the road. Bo Nix hasn't been nearly as good on the road as they have at home, although he played great up at UW. But, when you look at Oregon on the road, damn near lost at Texas Tech. Slow, ugly start at Stanford, and they did lose at Washington, even though, they played a hell of a game. This is not the same team, or hasn't been on the road. And Utah is a wounded animal. They have been all freaking year. And this will be by far the most physical team that Oregon has played. Oregon has not played a team that physically can match them, and that includes UW. Oregon was a more physical team than UW. UW's offense and Penix, and they couldn't get it done on fourth down. This will be the first time that a team will be as, if not more, physical than Oregon.
Well, I think that bodes well for them.
And we'll see how see how they match this up
because they're tough.
Yes, they are tough. So, and then down in the desert, that worries me a bit.
That's a scary one, man.
That absolutely terrifies me. But again, Arizona, I think Oregon State can grind out that game. Again, their run game and that offensive line against Arizona, that should travel. They should be able to punch Arizona in the mouth. And as long as the back end of your defense holds up, then I think you'll be okay. But again, that one should be scary too, because again, you're on the road, and that's always tough. Desert's never an easy place to play. And we've also seen the Oregon State defense, which we thought we were going to be able to rely on all year. We saw them get carved up against Washington State in a horrible way. And then we had that ugly performance against Cal, where Cal put up a bunch of points. It was just that the offense was humming. So, and Arizona, by the way, regardless of what quarterback, they've got some guys. They've got a couple good, big physical backs. They've got good receivers, even though their best receiver transferred to USC. I wonder if he regrets that now because he's not doing anything at USC. And they've got, I still think they go with the freshman, but you got two quarterbacks. So both of those games should be, I would be nervous if I was a Duck or a Beaver. There's just something about Utah that scares me more than Arizona. On the road at Utah, to me, is always just a pit in my stomach. Got a GD pig farmer down there and a safety, running the ball for Utah. It seems so ridiculous, and yet they keep winning, and they're getting better. That worries me.
The Seahawks have a big game too, hosting the Browns, but I feel like, I don't know, some of the luster is off the game because PJ Walker's starting.
Yeah.
At the same time, that's going to be a battle.
Yeah.
Because the Browns defense is so good. But I was looking at the Seahawks schedule. If the Eagles lose, because the Eagles are playing in Washington,
Mm-hmm.
if the Eagles lose, Seattle, if they beat the Browns, they will be tied for the best record in the NFC. Did you know that?
Isn't that something?
Yeah, it's crazy.
And yet we don't, and by the way, I don't think we view them that way because they're not.
No.
They're not, Seattle's okay. It's a good, solid team.
But that's the name of the game in the NFL, man.
Yeah.
They don't care what you think.
No.
5-2 if they win.
Yeah.
The next 7, too, are pretty nasty. I don't know if you've looked at their schedule.
Yeah, the Ravens are on there. They got the Niners. The Cowboys are mixed in there, right?
So they'll go at Baltimore,
Mhm.
and then they host Washington. So you'd like to think that's a winnable game. And then at the Rams, against the Niners at home, at Dallas, at San Francisco, and then they host Philly.
Jeez.
Brutal.
You want to talk about a gauntlet.
Kind of makes this one a little bigger.
Yeah, especially when you get PJ Walker.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's at home. This is must win. Yeah, I hate that. This is a game though that you have to find a way to prevail. You can't be losing to PJ Walker. And we'll see if the Browns defense shows up. I mean, they managed to eke out that one against the Colts, but boy, that's been a top 5 defense all year. And the Colts, the Colts moved the ball.
Yeah. I mean, you don't always play your best,
No.
right? I
Maybe
don't
it's an
know.
overlook game, Gardner Minshew, and they looked terrible the week before against Jacksonville.
Maybe.
Kept all those turnovers.
I just don't trust. I don't trust Geno
Nah.
and the Seahawks. It's going to be an absolute dogfight up
But
there.
I like the defense, and I mean this is going to be a slugfest because these are 2 good defenses, and it's going to be a physical game. And this is what I'm saying. You got 2 elite defenses, 2 very good defenses. Geno Smith should be better than PJ Walker. Really should. I mean, come on.
Should.
But
they beat the Niners with PJ Walker.
Yeah. Although, kick a field goal there and you win that game. 41-yard field goal.
Beat him.
Yeah. This should be a close game. The one that would scare me is don't look now, and we talked about this at the start of the year, and they've had a couple, weird losses. Again, see the Colts, and then they had that horrible one where they just looked like dog mess to the Steelers, but just keep an eye on the Ravens.
Ravens.
Yeah, we were talking at the start of the year that the Ravens were going to be kind of a sleeper team, and that offense is starting to kind of round into form.
New OC, baby.
Yeah, and it's
all right.
It's starting to cook, and they've got the Cardinals, Seahawks, Browns, Bengals, Chargers, Rams coming up. They got a chance to make a statement here that they should be viewed as one of the real contenders out there in the AFC.
Update on our AAA heating and cooling poll question at 1080 The Fan on X. Which team is going down this weekend? Right now, 32% say Oregon at Utah. 30% say the Seahawks against the Browns. 24% Oregon State at Arizona, and only 14% think Boomer Sooner loses to my Jayhawks.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to happen. But it just goes to show you all the Northwest teams. I think everyone is worried about those.
All three
of those
tough games.
are tough games. There's no gimme putts there.
Joey Harrington on Oregon, Utah. That'll be about an hour from now. Up next, in the news. But first, Buck with SportsCenter.
This is a Football Friday edition of Primetime with Isaac and Suk.
Brought to you by the Odyssey app.
Now, from the Spirit Mountain Casino Sports Desk, a SportsCenter update on 1080 The Fan.
Brian Buckley with this SportsCenter update. First on the Fan, some breaking news for the Blazers as shooting guard Anthony Simons is going to miss 4 to 6 weeks with a torn ligament in his right thumb that he sustained in Wednesday's loss to the Clippers. He, of course, is going to be out tonight when the Blazers play their home opener at Moda Center. Tip-off at 7:30. The Orlando Magic are in town. The World Series starts tonight as well. Game 1 starting in just about a half an hour. Rangers and D-backs are in Arlington with Nate Eovaldi starting for Texas. Zach Gallen on the hill for Arizona. First pitch just after 5 o'clock on Fox. In college football tomorrow, the 8th-ranked Ducks are in Salt Lake taking on number 13 Utah. They'll also be the site of ESPN's College Game Day. Oregon is a 6.5-point favorite. Kickoff at 12:30 on Fox. Our coverage starts here on The Fan at 6 a.m. The number 11 Beavers get a Pac-12 After Dark special. They play at 7:30 tomorrow night on ESPN against the Arizona Wildcats down in the desert. The Beavs are favored by a field goal. And in the NFL, the Seahawks host the Browns this weekend with a 1:05 kickoff at Lumen Field. No Deshaun Watson for Cleveland as he sits with a shoulder injury. P.J. Walker will get his 3rd start of the year. The Hawks are favored by 3.5. While sports scores and stories in 30 minutes, I'm Ryan Buckley from the Spirit Mountain Casino Sports Desk. Watch and wager on every game at Spirit Mountain Casino with a sportsbook powered by BetMGM. Learn more at SpiritMountain.com.
This is your home for year-round NFL coverage. The Odyssey app and 1080 The Fan.
If you've never had the wings at Big's Chicken, it's very likely you have no idea how good wings can be. Smoked, then fried, tossed in Big's special dry rub, and served with 3 killer sauces. Menus and locations at bigschicken.com.
You come for the action. You play for the thrill. And when it comes to winning, you're here to win big. Spirit Mountain Casino. Fall into cash. Up to $50,000. Start earning entries now, then be there on October 27th at 7 p.m. to win your share of 50 grand. It's Fall into Cash. Only at Spirit Mountain Casino. Elevate your game.
When people have a craving to explore new and traditional Asian cuisines, they head to P.F. Chang's, where scratch-made dishes come from the 2,000-year-old tradition of wok cooking. P.F. Chang's wanted to explore new possibilities for their website. They turned to AmericanEagle.com. AmericanEagle.com
Joey Harrington, Club 1080. You know the routine. It's Friday, man. Rocking you. That's what we're doing. We're rocking you, aren't we, Buck?
I'm watching.
That's right.
I'm watching Biff Poggi
That's right.
on the sidelines for the
Yeah.
Charlotte 49ers.
Have they shown him yet? Have you seen him?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we've talked about him before. He's the big fat guy who wears the
He wears a cut up.
sleeveless shirt.
See, I didn't know that was his thing. I knew of him. I knew that he was a
was the-
Harbaugh disciple.
He was a Harbaugh analyst. Like Harbaugh brings him in to like speak the hard truth. He was like the one that like told the Michigan staff they need to like love each other and like hold hands.
But I
Harbaugh-
fired this game up, and I was very stunned to see a head coach with like what looked like a 1995 workout shirt.
Yeah, he's a big
on.
fat guy, and it's not just like a sleeveless shirt. It is a full on like deep armhole, sleeves cut off, neckline cut out.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like a workout shirt.
Well, is he any good? His team sucks. They're 2-5.
Well, I don't know.
Fire his ass.
Can you win it, Charlotte?
I think he just got there.
Yeah, he
like
just
a year or
got
two
there.
ago.
Yeah.
Oh.
Don't worry, he'll bring the love. And yeah, I remember there was an article where Harbaugh credits him with like bringing hard truths to his
So
program.
Harbaugh can't tell hard truths? Like, he seems
Apparently
like a
not.
hard truth guy.
No, apparently only Biff can.
Maybe Lincoln Riley needs to bring Biff in.
There you
drink
go.
their haterade and eat their hater tots.
Give me some Biff.
The hater tots.
Boy, I bet he'd play real well in California.
All right, it's October 27, 2023. Time for In the News. I'm your newsman. Hello, thank you. Today is American Beer Day.
Oh, I had some American beers last night. Does that count?
What'd you have?
Some Coors. It's a banquet, some stubbies.
Banquets?
Yeah.
Have you noticed a trend of more Michelob Ultra?
Yeah, there's a big push for the Michelob
What's that
Ultras.
about?
I don't know. I think it's just a marketing campaign.
I think it's the fewest carbs and sugars.
Is that what it is?
Maybe keto
Just
friendly
light.
ones.
It seems very bro-y,
Yeah.
Michelob Ultra.
I think dudes who like to work out like Michelob because it's the least affecting on their figure.
Our golf tournament was brought to you by Michelob Ultra. They were like one of the title sponsors.
Yeah, it's just that I just see it a lot now.
Yeah.
And they got to be doing cartwheels because that's terrible beer.
Well, Bud Light's making a big comeback. They just signed a huge deal. They're the official beer of the UFC.
I saw that.
Yeah.
That's interesting choice.
Well, they were the original sponsor. They were the original beer of the UFC. And Dana White, by the way, if you want someone that doesn't give a flying F, I give you Dana White. There is a great clip out there where he blasts anyone criticizing their deal with Bud Light. It's actually really good.
Get
Yeah, he
Dylan
does-
Mulvaney out there as a ring person
He
carrying the
just-
round around.
So is this a deal for Bud Light? From Bud Light's perspective, is this them trying to, you know, like
butch up.
yeah, to tough it up a little bit?
There you
Butch
go.
up.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right.
It's
well,
it's a good 3-minute rant where Dana White he calls everyone like boycotted them or whatever. He calls them dummies and like it's pretty fun.
I'll go.
Yeah, careful.
Yeah, I know. Sorry. I don't like Dana White. All right. Where were we? Oh, it's also National Bandana Day. When's the last time you wore a bandana? Like Bret Michaels.
Oh,
Maybe you should bring back the bandana.
bring back a bandana.
Yeah, the do-rag. You remember the do-rag?
I wear headbands sometimes when I work out. Does that?
No, I want a bandana. No, it
Oh,
doesn't count.
no.
A bandana.
When's the last time you wore a bandana?
Last week, bro.
Oh,
All right,
okay.
I'll tell you right now. Come Monday.
Paisley's on it?
Are you back on Monday
Cowboy
from
style?
Vegas? Or you back on Tuesday?
No, I'll be here Monday.
All right. You know what? Then Monday, guess what? Bandana. Now,
yes.
Now, do you want the headband bandana or do you want it like Will Ferrell old school where it's like
No.
over my bald dome?
Yeah, bandana to me is not.
Well, but you tied the bandana multiple ways.
Yeah, but
You can tie the bandana
Yes.
where it covers your whole head,
I
or
understand.
the
I understand. To me, a bandana worn properly
Yeah.
covers your whole head. It's a do-rag.
oh
So it's Deion Sanders under the football helmet.
Kinda, yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
then-
like the red, you know, like
Yeah.
the paisley, like he was saying.
I do. I have a red one at somewhere at my house.
Your ass better bust
It's
that.
Rosie the Riveter rolling up the sleeves.
Done and done. Would you like a sleeveless shirt, Biff
Sure.
Poggi as well?
Bring some hard truths.
See how white trash I can get?
Might be our best show yet.
Done and done. I'll have a cigarette hanging from my lips. Although, can we do that on TV?
Gonna do massive numbers on the YouTube stream.
All right. Done and done. I don't have a wife beater. I got to get one of those. All right, bandana. You asked, you shall receive.
Are we to call it a wife beater anymore? Like that's probably.
No, probably not.
Cancel
No one,
it.
has, no one has a good name for it.
A domestic violence top?
Definitely not that also.
No.
I think that they're called A shirts, technically. Like
Oh,
it's
for God's
yeah, I know,
sakes.
I know, but like
A shirts? Why?
it's like the shape of them,
Oh.
I guess. Like you
Would
know, a
that be a-
T-shirt isn't a T.
Wouldn't
it's
it
more
be
like
a
an A.
U shirt?
I don't know, man. I didn't come up with it.
Can I call it a husband beater? Is that?
Yeah, just make it more equal.
Spouse.
There you go, spouse. Yeah, this equal. A spouse.
Non-assigning, yeah.
A significant other beater. How about that?
We had an assault in Seaside. The suspect is accused of assaulting someone and stealing their car. Sleepy little Seaside.
No. Well, it's during the wintertime, and I think that's when the meth comes out down at those coastal towns. So
What does the meth do in the summer?
Well, I think it takes a break due to the tourists. They put aside the meth. Maybe they ship them out somewhere else during the summer, and then they just creep back in.
Yeah, there's not great details on that.
It's just someone got their car stolen.
And assaulted.
All right.
And they're looking for him.
Well, I feel bad.
Now, the guy in Maine, they're saying
They found him.
They still can't find that guy.
No, he may have. By the way, he may have offed himself.
I was gonna say, don't you think he's dead?
Well, did you see they found a suicide note?
Yeah. Well, they said that his note basically indicated that you're not going to find him alive.
Yeah.
Which, I mean,
So it's a suicide.
and they're searching a bunch of water, which is right near where he left his car. Like, he killed himself, right?
So he left us. If you haven't seen the latest, he left us. They found his house, and I guess they kept surrounding his house, and there's video of it being like, FBI, come on out. Well, he wasn't in there.
Yeah.
So they go inside. They found a suicide note that he left for his son, and then they found his car at a boat ramp. And now they're scanning the lakes and the woods, and
He's out there.
there's a good chance that he is. Well, that was the same way that who was the guy that killed the lady on the hiking trip, and he went into like the Florida Everglades.
Oh, Gabby Petito and
Yeah.
Brian Laundrie.
And they couldn't find him because he was dead.
That was really.
Yeah, Buck had that right there.
I don't know where I pulled that
Yeah,
from.
that was
I
a
don't
great
know.
pull.
I don't
Right
know.
off the top of your head.
Well, we are newsmen.
Yeah. there's a better than average chance that he's gone. And if not, that's a dangerous dude to be out there, searching in the woods. You gotta be careful.
But they also lifted the what do you call it? The shelter in place. So
They're pretty sure
that tells you something.
He's not coming back. Pulled a point blank sort of thing. And you know what? Good. Does anyone care at all? You took another coward's way out. Rest in hell, buddy.
Hey, I've got big news on the next neighborhood site for mass outdoor shelter.
Oh yeah, I saw
in
this.
town.
Yeah, I saw that
They're going up to St. John's.
Yeah, I got a buddy that lives out there. I'm sure
with the traveling road show.
Sure, he'll be thrilled. They're doing like little pods, right?
Yeah, the little pods.
Yeah.
I'll get you the details on that when we get back. But right now, 4:47 on the Fan.
Oregon Ducks football is on the Fan.
Swings it out to Bucky. 40, 30, a blocker downfield. Go to the 10, go to the 5, go to the end zone. Bucky Irving.
Ducks football is brought to you by Frost Brewed Coors Light, Pacific Office Automation, Mods PDX, Audi Wilsonville, by Multnomah County Behavioral Health Division and VOA Oregon, and by Laurelhurst Market. The Ducks play here on the Odyssey app and 1080 The Fan.
Why didn't anyone laugh at the oak tree? His jokes were acorny. It's a doozy. And get this, hardwood lumber and plywood, walnut, maple, oak, alder, cherry, or hickory, in stock now at unbeatable prices at Sherway Building
Friday here, but
Well, I'm watching the Charlotte football game with the big fat guy with the sleeveless tee, but, I'm going to have to flip over to the baseball game.
This is in the news October 27, 2023. So Ted Wheeler, Tear Gas Teddy, announced the second of what are supposed to be 6 mass outdoor shelters around town.
Now, have we filled up the first one? Because the last I heard from that, none of the homeless wanted to go there.
No, it's capacity.
Okay, so we've actually got him in there now?
He actually said that. That's the one on the Central East side?
Yeah.
Or in the Central East side?
Because you hear about them when they first open and then, of course, then they just fall out of the news. But last I heard, a bunch of the homeless were pissed, saying that they had, rules. They're like, I don't want to do that.
They didn't come here for that.
No.
180 people there.
I didn't come here to play school.
And they said since that one opened, 40 have actually been approved for housing.
That's good.
But they haven't.
Getting them out of that site and into
Yes.
more permanent housing?
Yeah, because that's the idea.
Yes.
But they have not said in any. This is very Portlandy. They said that we have. It just says that the city has not said how many of those individuals have actually moved into that housing.
Oh.
So we do no follow up. Yeah. Okay,
By
so
the way,
this one,
that's code for not very many.
this one is in St. John's. 10505 North Portland Road. It's a remote site along the Columbia Slough, and it's owned by the city's Bureau of Environmental Services. So that's where we're going to throw this one up.
Okay.
And they are saying that it's primarily meant to serve people with RVs and campers.
Oh, boy.
But they will also have unspecified numbers of tiny homes and tents for peeps.
Can I ask if you are in an RV or a camper, how is that any different than living in a tiny shelter?
What do you mean?
Okay, so I'm living in an RV.
Yeah.
What is an RV? It's a tiny shelter.
Yeah, it's not different. I just think they just want him to park over there.
Oh, okay.
Because they don't want him parking all over the.
I just thought it was interesting that it was like
It's an area to park.
okay, so that's not a tiny shelter. They're just saying, hey, come park. It's a campground.
Yeah, but then they're saying they're going to have tents and tiny homes
Okay.
too. But if you have an RV and that's where you live, they would like for you to move it to this
Yes.
place.
Even though most of those probably can't move. At least most of the RVs that I see, they're not really movable.
And again, very Portlandy.
Yes.
Shockingly, they will not tell us how many RVs are actually moving there. But the site.
Hey, it's a step in the right direction, right?
I guess. They will feature shared bathrooms, showers, and kitchen areas, and staff will be there to connect guests to housing, mental health services, and other supportive resources.
That's the big one, is can we get some drug counseling to go along with that? And by the way, George is getting ready to throw out the first pitch here, and I got goosebumps.
Look at that strut.
Look, I love it.
Did you see
Strutting out there.
them talking about the similarities between these teams? I guess Bush threw out the first pitch the year the D-backs won it in 2001 as well.
Yeah, that's right.
Also,
9/11.
the All-Star game was in Seattle both this year and in 2001 when they last won it. Also, both years, their ace hit a bird out of the sky.
Oh, come on.
I mean, Randy Johnson did it. Zach Gallen did it. I think in spring training this year, they have it on video.
All I know
my
is
God.
so George W. is getting ready to throw out the first pitch to old-ass fat Pudge Rodriguez, Rangers legend. I'm telling you, George W. walked out there with a swagger. He knows he's getting ready to throw a bullet. He knows
arm's
it.
loose. He knows
Look
what's going
at
on.
it.
Oh,
Oh, what?
he bounced
He
it.
bounced
Good.
it. It was good.
Not great.
It was
not
good.
like his
great.
last
no.
one.
Well, I think he's like.
He's lost a little on
well,
his fastball.
Well, I think he's 80.
You think Laura's gonna?
77. Look, I'm not gonna lie. I was pretty excited about that, and he walked out with a swagger that I thought a bullet was gonna get thrown.
Yeah,
and
he
it's
was
not.
peacocking for
It's
sure.
not a bad first pitch, but he did short it a little.
He's got a fun strut.
Yeah.
George.
George out
He's
there.
got to
with
be in the
Pudge.
bag, right?
Oh, 100%. Kidding me?
I know he used to be a drinker. I think he said he quit, but
Well,
I'm not
he
sure
used,
if I
he used
buy
to
it.
have a little bit of the. I
Yeah.
can't. Oh, that kind of.
Well, he had a drinking problem. I think he's sober, but I wouldn't be surprised if he's not.
Well, you know.
Why would you be at that age?
You're
you know,
77.
that's
Let's,
let's
get
let her
with the
rip.
exactly. Let her go, baby.
So you think Laura's gonna?
Chastise him a little bit.
Well,
Or-
no, I was thinking that maybe Laura's like, oh, that's my guy. Give him a little something tonight.
I would hope so.
Maybe a little less because he bounced it.
Yeah. You're gonna do the thing that you only sometimes do, not the thing that you never do. You know.
Right.
Yeah, it's one of those.
That is in the news, October 27, 2023. Coming up next is the Hot 5 at 5. That will be followed by Roppin' the Bank, our picks against the spread, although you may not want to follow those. And then Joey Harrington. We will preview the Oregon-Utah matchup. So a lot to come. Stay with us. 456 on the Fan.
Better health isn't always about the big things. Sometimes it's a nudge from a friend
I'm Rop Datsuk.
Right here.
He's going to wear a bandana on Monday.
You got it. Like I said, I'm almost positive I have a red one.
Make sure you tune in.
I think I have like a light blue and pink one. They're both my ladies. So, maybe we'll give you some color options.
And hey, we're streaming now on YouTube, so
Yeah.
you can see his attire.
Someone got excited when he was taking off the sweatshirt earlier.
No.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, they said, "Ooh, look at him! One more layer to go."
Do the show shirtless now? Some chesticles out there. Someone correctly points out on the Vancouver Ford text line, it is crazy that George W. Bush is younger than both Trump and Biden.
Whoa.
Yes.
That is we need to do something about
He is
that.
younger than both. And we can all admit that when we see George W. out there now and he's doing interviews, he's not at his best.
Yeah, he looks old, but that's jarring because we haven't seen him in a while.
Yes.
Right?
I would say most people past 75 aren't at their best, which is probably why they shouldn't be president.
Yeah, again, I've said it a million times. There's an age limit for how old you have to be. I think we should also have an age limit of how old you can be.
Agreed.
Just saying.
Yeah, I think they're so Trump and George W. are the same age. They're 77.
I thought Trump was 78.
I think he's only 77.
Okay.
You can double check my math. All right. Well, hey, quick question about the World Series before we really get to going here, because Friday 5:00 hour, very busy.
Goes
We've got
quick.
Joey Harrington coming up at 5:30 here. We'll talk about Oregon against Utah.
You're correct, by the way. 77.
Yeah, they're both
Or
77.
Yeah, same age. And then Biden,
He's 90.
He's older.
5.
Carry a 1. I don't know.
Ropping the Bank is in our next segment, our picks against the spread. But real quick on the World Series, Buck, you blew my mind with all of the similarities between the last time the Diamondbacks won the World Series.
Yeah,
and
that
now.
was a little viral post that was going around. That wasn't just from me. But
Can we
yeah.
go through those again?
Yeah, so the first thing was that George W. Bush was throwing out the first pitch for both of those World Series because it was the one right after 9/11 that he threw it out in 2001. D-backs
Yeah.
were playing in it. won
Great
it
series.
against Game 7 against the Yankees. And then he obviously threw it out tonight. Then the second similarity was that the All-Star game both seasons was in Seattle.
Crazy.
And then their ace pitcher hit a bird in the spring.
Yeah, what?
Randy Johnson, the famous
Yeah.
incident, but
Yeah.
if you look up Zach Gallen bird,
He did it this year,
He
too.
did it, and he was doing like long toss
Dude.
and warm-ups or something like that.
What
But
are the odds of that?
same thing.
That's like when you look up the Lincoln assassination and the Kennedy assassination. There's a bunch of those like that. And then, instead of just being a coincidence, then we have to get deep into the rabbit hole and the universe is speaking to us and all that.
So Diamondbacks by $1 million?
Clearly.
I don't know. I guess.
Does Creed make money on hire being a big thing in Texas right now?
I would assume so. I saw that their streams are up like 700%.
Oh, well, that would be how they would.
I don't know how much money that's bringing in, because
Is that just because that Thanksgiving video went viral?
they're just it wasn't just the Rangers, but it was there was another team that was using Creed as well.
Multiple teams were.
Multiple teams were using Creed, and so I think it's like when stuff like that happens. When's the last time you thought of Creed? Never. Like you just don't. And then all of a sudden, like there was 2 sports teams that were using Creed, and they were playing it like at the ballparks. I don't remember who the other one was. But the 2 teams were it, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh my God, that Creed, it's being played at the ball game. And then some people are listening to it ironically, because they're like, you supporting the team, and it's like kind of a fun nostalgia thing.
And then some people are discovering it for real and being like, I dig this. This is my jam.
This is great.
Yeah. And then there's probably some others too that are like, oh, I remember this. Yeah, and I'll listen to a little Creed. And next thing you know, and like when they play it like on TV and stuff, I think like at the start of games, and I think you have to pay for that. I think you have to pay for the rights. Someone's making money off of it.
Boy, wouldn't that be wild? You're Scott Stapp, and not that he's probably hurting for money or anything, but
Actually, he is. I think
Is he?
I think he ran afoul of the IRS.
oh,
I think Scott Stapp is. I think he's in some financial
okay.
oopsies.
Well, but I mean, imagine that. Like all of a sudden,
yeah.
you're just you got some IRS problems. You maybe don't have as much money as you once had, and you've partied, and you're a rock star, and your band kind of sucks, and then all of a sudden, some baseball team uses your song higher, and now they're all going ape crap over it, and all of a sudden your checks start rolling.
Yeah, they're saying he's worth less than $1 million.
Wow.
Yeah.
So maybe he's not making much money off of this.
Well, I mean, he may now. I mean, they just say he.
It's just an interesting time in music because it's like I was reading an article the other day. Spotify doesn't make money, and that's fascinating to me
because that's
like,
almost what everyone uses.
Yeah, and and so then if they don't make money, how did the artists on there make? I don't know. It's a weird world.
Well, but like
money making in music now.
I saw that Kate Bush, you know Kate Bush,
Yeah.
running up the hill. That
Yeah,
when
from
that when that was on Stranger Things,
Mhm.
she said, I saw an interview where she said she made a couple $1,000,000, different things off of that, and then got paid to do some gigs and people licensing her song, and that thing was from like 1983.
Yeah, so they have to pay her for that song.
Yes.
Something similar happened with Journey when they used "Don't Stop Believin'" on like the MTV show The Hills as like a goodbye end of season montage, and it got all these youngs like back who'd never heard the song really. It put Journey back to like top 1 or 2 on the charts, and they made a bunch of money off that. It was in like the early 2000s.
But you have to own that, though.
Yes.
Like
right.
if you've
Some bands don't own
they don't
their-
own it.
Yeah. So, but if you own the rights, I mean, that's why people do all those publishing catalogs. The money to be made now is by owning your music and touring. But you don't sell,
Yeah, the tours are big.
Yeah. Because back in the day, like, I mean, I've seen plenty
The
of
tour
interviews.
was just an accessory.
Yes, to the album.
Yeah, you'd want to tour so you could sell a bunch of albums. Now you tour to try to get people to
But
I don't know what, download your music, I guess.
Sure. But you think about like back in the day, like when when you had a hit album, even if it was a one album hit and it sold 7 million copies, a lot of money. Now, no one buys albums. When's the last time you bought an album?
Oh God. So when somebody downloads a song,
you get
on Spotify, you
yeah.
get a cut of that.
But it's like $1 for it's
Well, yeah, but if you have a bunch of them,
there's not a lot of money to be made.
It's just really weird.
Streaming music makes bupkis, but it gets people to go out and see your shows and buy your merch and all that crap, and that's what you have to do.
It's hard on my musical career.
Yeah.
As you well know.
Yeah, I know.
Adelaida, pretty little Cajun
been hard
queen,
coming to a county-
rockin' to the door.
Coming to a county fair near you.
All right, it's time now. We got to get going here. It's time for the Hot 5 at 5.
Hot topics, hot opinions,
Oh, Charlie, I'm hot today.
and hot air. It's time for the Hot 5 at 5.
That's hot.
The Hot 5 at 5 on Primetime with Isaac and Sue.
No, I mean it. That's very hot.
The Hot 5 at 5 with Isaac and Sue. Brought to you on The Fan by Victor Rico's Mexican Food, the most popular burrito spot in Oregon. Online at victorricos.com.
Yeah, this person's right. Bohemian Rhapsody has been number 1 3 separate times, decades
Number
apart.
5.
When it first came out, and then when Wayne's World came out, 20 years after the song, and then when Bohemian Rhapsody, the movie came out, it went to number 1 again.
And so are the guy who owns the Queen.
Brian May and all those guys.
Those guys own it. They're
Yeah.
getting rich every time.
I'm sure.
Or, I mean,
that-
getting a lot of money.
I'm sure there is a nice chunk of money that has come. The amount of money that Queen has made off of Bohemian Rhapsody, I'm sure, is absurd.
Jamal Adams and Tyler Lockett were both listed questionable this week by the Seahawks, but they practiced today and are on track to play against the Browns here on The Fan.
Dare I say one of the sneaky best games of the NFL weekend. I'm excited about
Vancouver
this one.
Report text line also telling us that Kirk Cousins has publicly credited Creed for his
God.
2-game winning streak, which is so on brand.
Freaking Creed, man.
Wow.
They're making a comeback.
Wow. Also, guard Phil Haynes is doubtful. Likely won't play.
I still haven't decided where I'm going with this.
With what?
The Seahawks Browns. It's one of those that I keep waffling on, going back and forth.
You think the Seahawks going to cover 3.5? Dude,
Number 4.
The play there is Cleveland.
PJ Walker. The Browns burned me last week.
It's Geno Smith.
What if they're not that much worse with PJ Walker?
They burned me
Because
last week.
Deshaun Watson's not that good.
They burned me. Come on.
Kyler Murray, fully healthy, but he is listed doubtful for Arizona's game against Baltimore.
Yeah. So at some point he's coming back because there was some speculation that they weren't going to bring him back all year, but officially off the injury report, it's only a matter of time. And by the way, I don't know if you want to come back against that team. There may be an element of that too.
Maybe, but you know who they play next week?
Who they got?
They're in Cleveland.
Boy,
Yeah.
that's a fun little 2 games. So we got to find like a. And when do they play someone that can't play defense and rush the quarterback?
Oh, the Chargers?
No, because after that they got the Falcons. And the Falcons have a good defense too. Texans, maybe the Rams. I mean, at some point here in the next couple weeks, Kyler Murray will play, and he'll be playing for his job. By the way, it's a big couple weeks for him.
Will that mean anything for them?
Well, it's going to mean something because you decide whether or not you.
No, I mean like wins and losses. Like
Oh.
they're still crappy, right?
Yeah, they're not that good. They've been playing hard, but I don't think that Kyler Murray off that knee injury is suddenly going to lead them to they're not going to the division.
Two other bits of quarterback news. The Niners QB Brock Purdy, full go at practice today. They are saying now if he's cleared by an independent doctor tomorrow, then he does start on Sunday. No Sam Darnold.
That is crazy because there has not been a single player this year that has been diagnosed with a concussion that week and played on Sunday. Hasn't happened. But I mean, he finished the game and said he didn't have symptoms until like the next day. So it's kind of wonky, but I'd still be surprised if the doctor gives him a clearance. That just doesn't usually happen in 4 or 5 days.
Again, it is an independent doctor.
Wink, wink, nod, nod.
The Raiders are likely to have Jimmy Garoppolo back for their game Monday night in Detroit.
Did we ever find out why exactly he went to the hospital? Were they worried about a kidney thing? You peeing blood?
I don't know.
They call it a back injury, but they took him to the hospital in uniform.
That sounds like kidneys. Then
right?
You get hit down there, and then maybe something's going on.
That's kind of what I assumed. I just haven't seen anything.
Well, remember, like Chris Sims had the spleen issue. That maybe there could be something, just an organ down there they had to check out, a lacerated liver, something like that.
Well, the Blazers' home openers tonight, they play the Orlando Magic. The spread is 4. Hashtag fade the Blazers. You would get 4 points.
Yeah.
Or, I mean, you would have to lay for Orlando.
No Anthony Simons, by the way.
So, yeah, the big news is that Anthony Simons has torn his UCL and his thumb. He is out 4 to 6 weeks and will have surgery.
Not that anyone here would be excited about it, but this certainly puts the over-under at 28.5 wins on the season. It's a good start. It's a good start to the season. Get blown out by the Clippers. Now have your best player go down for a little bit. I'd like to see that thumb reevaluated in about 6 weeks, and then maybe let's not rush him back.
Watch Malcolm Brogdon slide in and lead him straight to the playoffs.
Let's not talk about that.
Playoff.
This team is going to be bad. Real bad.
We've come too far together to stop now. Let's do it.
That's it, baby. Shot it from the rooftops.
Number one.
Number one.
Yes, number one is the World Series.
Yeah.
Features the Diamondbacks and the Rangers, the second unlikeliest World Series matchup of all time based on preseason odds, but they are underway in Texas. The Rangers getting home field, Nathan Eovaldi against Zach Gallen, and Eovaldi set him down 1-2-3 in the first.
He has been money for them in this postseason. There was going in, there was the idea that they have to have that 1-2 punch, and he has lived up to it and then some. I know no one's watching, but I'm kind of excited about this World Series.
Oh, I think a few are watching.
Good matchup.
By the way, Patrick Mahomes was supposed to be there, but I think they said he couldn't make it. You know, he grew up a Rangers fan.
Didn't his dad play for the Rangers?
I know his dad pitched. I know for sure he pitched for the Twins. I don't know who else he pitched
I didn't know about that, but he grew up in East Texas, and he said he grew up always a Ranger fan, so he's excited. Patrick?
I thought he may have played for the Rangers at some point, but I could be.
Well, maybe that's why he grew up there.
Completely wrong.
Daddy was playing
He
there.
played for the Rangers in 2001.
Yeah,
he did. Okay.
Yeah, I thought I remember.
What year was Patrick Mahomes born? That's a question.
He's like what, 27-ish, probably.
So late 90s.
I'm guessing.
He was born in 95. He's 28.
Okay.
Okay. Victor Rico's Mexican food brings you the Hot 5 at 5. It's the most popular burrito spot in Oregon. Order now at victorricos.com. All right, we have some making up to do. We've been crap on our picks, especially Big Sook.
Last 2 weeks, I was doing great out of the gate.
So you better bring the heat.
See what I can do.
Ropping the Bank is next on The Fan.
It's The Fan on demand.
I'm going to give it to you.
Give it to me.
Service Patriots brings you fan podcasts on pace for 2.5 million listens and downloads in 2023.
Oh my God, that is impressive.
Service Patriots is your home comfort solution for all your heating and air conditioning needs. Check out the latest special offers for our listeners at servicepatriots.com/thefan. Service Patriots podcasts on 1080.
It's hot. I need milk.
The Fan.
Now, here's a quick look at Portland traffic.
Northbound I-5 beginning around Iowa Street. If you're making your way over the interstate bridge into Vancouver, it's going to cost you about a 25-minute drive with 10-minute delays. Also 10-minute delays to 205. That's traffic. I'm Ken Luttrell.
Reynolds Defense Firms. One promise. This is McDaniel Reynolds with the Reynolds Defense Firm, and we specialize in one thing. We represent good people facing DUI charges. Trust is a big deal to me, both personally and professionally. And I believe at the core of trust is a very simple concept. Be genuine. Be genuine in what you say. Be genuine in what you do. And I believe being genuine is what makes Reynolds Defense Firm so successful at helping good people facing DUI charges. There's no pretense here. What you see is what you get. We do what we say we are going to do, and we don't make promises we can't keep. In fact, there's only one promise we make to our clients because there's only one thing within our complete control. We promise every client we represent that we will do the absolute best we can for them. And since DUI law is our specialty, and we have a fantastic team of lawyers and staff, our absolute best can be pretty amazing. If you or someone you believe in faces a DUI charge, call Reynolds Defense Firm today, because you want Reynolds Defense Firm on your side. Reynolds Defense Firm. We're solid, we're here if you need us, and we are very good at what we do.
Papa Murphy's. Change the way you pizza.
Commercial Industrial Auctioneers is holding their car, truck, and heavy equipment auction this Saturday, open to the public. For times, locations, and the auction catalog, go to commercialindustrialauctions.com. That's commercialindustrialauctions.com.
Wendy's new breakfast 2 for $3 Biggie bundles let you create your own delicious combo. Choose from a sausage biscuit, egg and cheese biscuit, small.
How about if I take your money and kick you in the balls 3 times? No. Is that a fair deal?
A deep dive on the games that matter and some that don't.
Football is football. Football's football.
This is Roppin' the Bank with Isaac and Sue on 1080.
Somebody's making money.
The Fan.
Not making money yet. Keyword being yet.
No. Well, I was, and then I wasn't. And now
You are definitely not.
Now I'm hoping to be back to was.
Big Souk last week, 0-4 minus 14 units.
Yep.
I was 1-2 minus 5 units. I had Buck 3-5 minus 9 units. So
Felt
here
great after Saturday, 2-1.
Here are the season totals. Big Zook 15-20 minus 16 units. I am 10-12 minus 16 units, and Buck is 21-24 minus 4 units. Remember, Buck already has his 3 10-unit plays in play with the Colts under 6.5 wins, Bucks under 6.5 wins, and Chiefs over 11.5 wins.
And everyone did what they were supposed to last week. That was nice.
So, who should start? Let's go with Big Sukis. Sook's got to get off the snide.
I do.
We need some hot picks from you.
I've been leading this thing the whole time, the whole way, and then 2
You always
weeks.
say, look, it's what have you done for me lately? No one cares.
Not good.
Oh, you are 1-9
Not good.
in your last 10, bro.
Not good. All right.
Step it up.
You know what started my demise was the New England Patriots.
I thought you were going to say Chargers.
Well, them too. The Patriots started my demise, and I was 1 week late on the New England Patriots. I'm going back.
Oh my
Going back.
What?
5 units. 9.5.
It's already been addressed.
My New England Patriots.
Who are they playing?
The Dolphins.
Where's the game?
In Miami. And Miami's
Why are you doing that?
And Miami's a mash unit. They are. We don't know if Xavier Howard's going to play. Jalen Ramsey was going to play. Sounds like that's doubtful too. Tyreek Hill has a hip that's bugging him. Waddle is beat up. I don't need a win.
Okay.
But I'm getting 9.5. I was hoping that would get to 10, but New England covers this number.
Okay.
New England is not as bad as they've shown. And we saw that. They beat the Bills outright. I just was a week off. And that should have been a win had Mac Jones not taken that stupid safety. They keep this thing within a touchdown, and I'm getting 9.5. 5 units, the Patriots are going to get me off my schneid.
Now, I am treading lightly on NFL this week just because, 1, I want to switch it up. 2, I don't see anything I love. And 3, I'm heading to Vegas after the show, and I cannot wait to post up with a bunch of drinks tomorrow in the sportsbook watching college football.
Yeah.
So I have gone through the college slate harder than I normally do. And I got to tell you guys, some people are not going to like this, but my 5-unit play this week.
Taking the Utes, huh?
No, I am going with Oregon.
Oh, okay.
I have studied this game right and left. And I got to tell you, man, I really like Oregon, minus 6.5.
Yeah.
And it's tough because you're right. Rice Eccles is such a tough place to play, and Utah is such a tough team. But a few things jump out. Utah, they ranked 98th in yards per game, man. They did not figure out their offense last week. They just played USC. Utah scored 14 on UCLA, and they scored 7 on Oregon State. The Ducks' defense is statistically better than the Beavers, and it's right there with UCLA's. This is one of those games where I think experience at quarterback for Oregon and the ability to run the ball and stop the run, it travels. This is actually a good matchup, I think, for Oregon because they just want to play a tough in-the-trenches game. They're built for that. And here's a little something. Utah's defense allowed USC to run the ball for 6.3 yards per carry.
And Oregon runs the ball a hell of a lot better than USC.
Ducks can do that. Oregon's rush defense, again, that's the key. Dan Lanning said it yesterday on our show. They got to stop the run. That's the key. Oregon's rush defense is 9th in the country. It's sandwiched right in between Georgia and Michigan. So look, I don't want to be scared of Utah. I just want to look at the numbers and look at what I've seen. And Utah is really banged up. I don't think their offense is that good. Utah's going to get 3s here. The Ducks are going to get 7s. So I think Oregon wins the game 34-15, and I am going to bet a lot of money on it tomorrow.
Okay. Well, how many units?
Oh, 5. It's a 5-unit play.
play.
I considered a 10-unit play, but the only thing keeping me from 10 units is that it's just Utah.
Yeah.
It's Kyle Whittingham. That's a damn good coach and damn good team. I just don't think their offense is. They played USC last week. I think we're overreacting to that.
Unfortunately, boys, I am on the other side of that one. I'm taking Utah this week. I think that the Rice Eccles thing is real. I think Oregon can come out of there with a win, but for whatever reason, teams just struggle when they get there. I think that Utah finds a way to keep it close. I don't know that they unlocked anything against USC. Like you said, it might have just been them playing USC, but they've got some weird kind of mash unit it factor. It doesn't matter that they're being held together with floss and bubble gum. Like they still are figuring it out. I think they find a way to keep it close.
How many unis?
3 units.
Okay,
I'm going to go a 5-4-3 here. So I'm going to go a 4-unit play here, and I'm going to take Cincinnati. Cincinnati's getting 5 here against San Francisco. And I know the Brock Purdy thing is up in the air. I still don't think he plays. Again, no one that has been deemed to have a concussion in the same week has played on Sunday. So I don't think he's going to play. And no offense to Sam Darnold, but the Niners haven't looked that good. And the Niners are beat up too. Trent Williams has been beat up. Their defense has been beat up. Debo's been beat up. You know, they are kind of licking their wounds here a little bit. And remember, they've lost 2 in a row here to Cleveland and the Vikings. And you know who's looking better and better and is starting to get healthy? And that's Cincinnati. And Cincinnati has a nasty defense too. I think this is a field goal game one way or another. I think San Francisco wins. I don't think they blow out Cincinnati. So I'm getting 5 here. I love this. Yeah. So I'm going 4 units here. Cincinnati covers.
Don't hate that. I'll go. My next one's going to be, I hate to do this for you, but I'm going against the Beavs. I'm going to take Arizona.
Down in the desert?
So am I. I'm also going against
Yep.
the
Look at you freaking duck homers, both of you sons of bitches.
That has nothing to
I'm
do
going
with
against the Ducks and the Beavs.
Whatever, duck homer. Yeah, well, you're just a hater.
Look, so it's Arizona plus 3.5.
Yeah.
If they close out the USC game, remember that went to 3 overtimes.
Should have had it.
If they close that game out, they're 5-2, and they're probably favored here.
Yeah.
I think that the big thing with them is Jaden Delora, the decision making at the quarterback position has been rectified with this freshman kid over Jaden Delora. Now they're both healthy, so it'll be interesting to see if Delora gets back in there. But I think Oregon State, I as good as they've been against the spread, and they have been good, this number, when it came out, I was like, whoa, how is that so low? That tells you something. Vegas knows this is going to be a battle, and I don't really trust Oregon State on the road. I hate to say that. I don't. They're a different team on the road. Arizona, this is a buzzsaw. And you know who has the 17th ranked rush defense in the country?
I'm guessing that you're about to tell me.
No, I don't know. No, I'm kidding. Arizona.
Yeah.
Arizona can stop the run.
That's sneaky. I wouldn't have thought that.
That is sneaky. They can stop the run. So I think that then you put DJ on the road. And I like DJ, but this is going to be a tough one. Pac-12 after dark. I think Arizona is going to have some juice for Oregon State. This is going to be a really close game, but I have it Arizona 25.5, Oregon State 25.25.
Oh, I like it.
So I'll take the points.
Those quarter points. Okay, so
that's also a 5 uni.
All right,
I'm going 3 on that one, Isaac.
You have 3. Okay.
I told you I was going 5, 4, 3. So my 3-unit play here is I'm taking points this week, and I'm going to take the Rams. Rams against the Cowboys. I think the Cowboys are overrated. They don't run the ball particularly well at all with Pollard. Pollard, by the way, I don't think has a touchdown all year. And the Rams, the key to the Rams is, can they protect Matthew Stafford? And there's this idea that the Cowboys have this great defensive line. They're 18th in pressure rate in the NFL. They are not great at getting after the quarterback. I mean, that comes down to more of they've got the Micah Parsons thing. But outside of that, they haven't been particularly good there. I think these teams are a lot closer to each other than anyone wants to admit. I'm getting 6 points here, and the Rams are tough. The Rams, although, last week they lost, but, when you look at Pittsburgh has this thing going in the right direction too. So I think this is maybe a bit of an overreaction to that. Again, I don't think the Rams win this, but I think the Rams can keep this close.
Don't hate that.
So I'm going to go ahead and lay a 3-unit here on the Rams, getting 6.
Okay. Another college game I have for you is Georgia laying 14 against Florida. This is going to be a 4-unit play. I'm going to take the Bulldogs. They don't have many big games on their schedule. And I do think that they sleepwalk sometimes. They've won back-to-back championships, for heaven's sakes. This one is big. Okay, so the last time they had a circled game where everybody's talking about them, like, oh, can Georgia do it? And they played Kentucky, and they beat them by 38. This is a circled game, and you've got Florida, who only converts 33% on third down against the best third down defense in the country. Georgia gives up 24%. Also, I read Colin Wilson, credit Colin Wilson for this stat. I was reading on his thing that Florida gives up more explosive plays than almost anyone in the country. Dude, Georgia, bloodbath. UGA, 80. Florida, 6.
I actually like that one too. I wasn't playing any college games, but on my own little Bovada account,
Georgia's going to beat them.
There will be a wager there on Georgia. All right, is it me or are we going Buck?
I think we got Buck now.
We got Buck?
I got 2 more college games. I'll make them really quick. I'm going to take UCLA laying 15 against Colorado at home at the Rose Bowl. Feels like they're. You mentioned taking the tarps off. I don't think that matters that much, but it's going to be a bigger crowd than the Bruins have had in a while. And I think everyone still wants to beat Colorado. So I think that they take care of that. And then I think ASU is a team that's very similar to the model of Arizona. They're just frisky. I think that they might beat Washington State outright down in the desert. I'm going to take the 5 points, and I'll take ASU. Both of those bets for 3, please. UCLA and ASU.
You are logged, sir. Big Sook.
Yeah. All right. I am going with another 5-unit play. So I did my 5, 4, 3, but I'm going back to 5 units, and I'm going to take the Houston Texans. I don't like that this is up to 3.5. I hate giving up that hook, but here's a fun one for you. Carolina, by the way, who is winless. Would you care to guess how many games that Carolina has kept within 4 points all year?
0.
Houston's good. Houston's a good, solid team. You know, and they had that tough loss against the Falcons. Carolina stinks, and Houston does not. So I'm going to go ahead and lay this. I think Houston, I wish that was sitting there at 3. I hate that hook, but I got to go big, man, because the last couple weeks have been bad. So go big or go home. Laying 5 units on my Houston Texans.
Bam. Let's get back to Buck. I've got 2 more in college. They're smaller. Buck, what do you have?
I've got 2 in the pros. One, I'm going against Will Levis in his Titans debut. I'm going to take the Falcons minus 2.5 on the road. I think the Falcons' defense is pretty decent, even though their offense has been kind of a mess. I expect the Titans to be more of a mess. So give me the Falcons laying 2.5 for 3 units. And we mentioned it earlier in the show. We mentioned it yesterday, or Hugh did. Jacksonville. I just think they're a better team than Pittsburgh by a pretty decent margin. I'll take the Jaguars laying 2.5 at Pittsburgh for 3 units.
I like that one as well. 2 other college plays I'm probably going to play tomorrow. I'm going to go 3 unis. Wisconsin plus 14.5. I think both defenses, it'll be a slugfest up there at Camp Randall. And I'm going to take Washington. You know, the Cardinals, Stanford, ranked 131st in pass defense. This is a Michael Penix pitch and catch game. Washington will beat Stanford by 1,000,000 points. They're laying 27.5.
That's a lot.
I usually don't.
You dub by 1,000,000.
I usually don't like laying that many points, but yeah, if they're going to win by 1,000,000, I think I got some room.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go Washington and Wisconsin as well. 3 unis each. Is that it, boys?
That's it for me.
I would like to lay 2 units on the Magic minus 4 tonight, please.
Hashtag fade the
Fade
Blazers.
Blazers.
No Anthony Simons tonight.
I was also going to try to get a couple World Series MVP bets in, but we don't need to do that.
Why not?
Because we're up against it. And I was going to not do anything exotic.
Who's going to win the MVP?
It's Garcia.
Well, so here's the thing.
By the way, we can't allow this because the game's already started.
I like the Rangers to win the World Series, but I didn't think there was too much juice on against them, basically. So I took 1-unit bets on Seager, Adolis Garcia, and Evaldi to win the MVP.
By the way, Adolis Garcia has already just tied the postseason record with 21 RBI.
Yeah, he had one in the
knocked
first
in
there.
another one.
Yep, knocked in another one.
2-0 Rangers.
Yeah.
All right, that's Ropp in the Bank. Hopefully we do better for you this week. It is each Friday, 5:15. Joey Harrington joins us next to preview Oregon, Utah. Here's Buck.
This is a Football Friday edition of Primetime with Isaac and Suk.
Brought to you by the Odyssey app.
Now, from the Spirit Mountain Casino Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
Brian Buckley with this SportsCenter update brought to you by X Golf. It is indoor golf season. Check out X Golf in Vancouver or Tualatin, the home of indoor golf, online at xgolfpnw.com.
11 to 12:30ish, 1 o'clock, and then I got to go back up and do the more, the what's it called, the CPM, continuous passive motion machine, where I'm just like slowly bending my knee all day, and then ice and do that stuff. So I get about like 2-hour stretches out of bed a day. Yeah. So there are certain things where you look forward to. It's like, dude, like one of my friends is going to make me a casserole. Oh, no. Just got a text from him. He's like, yeah, I was totally kidding about the casserole thing, but I'm happy to come over. I was like, no, I want a casserole. Like you said casserole, I want a casserole. That's totally backing out on the deal.
I 100% agree. You can't.
Yeah, you can't tease
You
that.
can't tease a casserole because I'm with you.
Nobody thinks that's a joke.
No, if you send me a text saying, hey, I'm coming over and bringing a casserole, I quite frankly don't want you to come over unless you have a casserole. I mean, what are we doing here?
There is no, like, any invitation, any future invitation is rescinded without the, how do you say that? You're not allowed back in the house unless you have a casserole.
Yeah, it's like anytime, like if you're at a country club or whatever and like you're over your dues, you can't keep charging things. You have to make good on that account. Like you can't just keep charging on your credit card when you're overdue, and he owes you overdue one casserole.
It could be the middle of summer. Like it could be 107 degrees. And hey, you want to come over for a little, come over for a refreshing drink in the backyard? Sure. Okay. Bring a casserole.
Yeah.
Like that's just like, that is asterisk. That is there. That is never going to be forgotten.
And there's something great because casseroles are the most bastard, like 8-year-old meals. And they usually involve some sort of like tater tot or like crunchy potato chip topping. But there is just something so like warming, like it's a nostalgia thing, especially like in fall weather. The casserole is made for October.
It's exactly what it is. Like I'm coming home. I've flown across the country with like this surgically repaired leg that like swelled up to the size of the Hindenburg. And then like I'm back at home. It's fall. We're about to kick off the bourbon barrel benefit. It's like, it's everything is like fall and I was like casserole, like maybe some sausage in it. No casserole.
Yeah.
Wow, that he did you dirty.
Yeah, he really did. I mean, if you want to call him out by name, feel free. We can properly shame him because that's Bush League. That's amateur hour right there. It just is.
Yeah, I can't go there yet. I'm not. We'll see if the casserole is delivered.
How did you fly on the plane with that thing? Did you stick it out in an aisle? Did you go like business class? You could lay down?
No, there's no. There is no business class. Domestically, you can't lay down domestically.
Oh, yeah, I guess that's true.
Yeah, what are you talking about?
Yeah, isn't that only like an international thing?
Well, sometimes the business classes, they have like the little, like you can.
Yeah, that's not.
I didn't even.
Not when you're flying
that's
from.
like if you're going to if you're flying to like Abu Dhabi or something, or like, yeah, that was so, like we walked onto the plane. When we went to London last spring, we were walking through and like you get on the plane and you go right to the regular seats and you look to the left and it's like there are these little pods.
Yeah.
That like, oh yeah, you've got like your own little like dome in there, and then like the seats lay completely flat, and like we're walking away from, and just kind of looking over your shoulder, like, oh, that would be nice. No, I just you just stick it out, and the problem is like you can't elevate it.
Yeah.
Right? There's no like seat. Like if you're flying back after a game, when granted you haven't had surgery after a game, but like you sprain an ankle, you do something. There's enough seats when you are on a team plane that they'll give you a place where like you can put your leg up on a seat next to you. Yeah. When you're flying domestic back from Chicago, it's not like, United Airlines is cramming that thing full. So there's no seats to put the foot up on. So, it was an interesting experience.
Yeah, that's what I was just thinking. I was like, that can't be fun, having your knee ripped open like that and then get on a plane.
Well,
the interesting thing too is like, I went in thinking that, I was going to have the cartilage transplant like we talked about, and he just kind of mentioned it, when I met with him, the surgeon, Dr. Brian Cole, he's fantastic. And he's like, yeah, we may put in like this wedge down in your shin in your below your knee to kind of change the angle at which your, I guess your shin or your tibia comes into your knee. I didn't know that had a name. It's called a tibial osteotomy. And apparently like what they do is they like cut like 90% of the way through your tibia, and then like shove like this titanium wedge in there to like change the degree at which the angle at which your tibia comes into your patella or into that knee area. And then they screw it in with like 4 giant screws. So I woke up out of surgery. I was like, what the hell is like, they said, how are you feeling? I was like, what is going on? Like this hurts a lot. He's like, well, that's the tip. That's the osteo. I was like, well, whatever it is, like fix it. We got issues here. Like this is not right.
Yeah.
That sucks, man. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it does not sound fun.
Sounds like going to be a rough few months for you. But
It'd be
hopefully,
better with a casserole.
yeah, I was going to say,
Yeah, it would
hopefully
be.
friends deliver you a casserole.
If only I was ever invited over, maybe I'd bring a casserole.
He
but,
wouldn't.
You know.
Question.
Green couch. I'm sitting right here looking at it. Question, go.
I think I know the answer to this, or maybe you can let me guess the answer to this if there is an answer. But I was going to ask you, Utah is like the new Stanford of the Pac-12, right? Like that team that plays different, plays tough. They're like the Wisconsin of the Big Ten. Who was that team when you played? And can I guess?
Okay, I would say ish.
Okay, they were close.
Well, no. Because I think Utah has always played good defense, but they've actually had some pretty dang good offense as well. And I think the fact that they don't have Cam Rising has forced. I mean, let's go down the list of injuries that they've had.
It's ridiculous.
It is. I think that has forced their hand a little bit and changed the way they played to kind of force them to become a little bit more of the Stanford. That being said, Stanford also had, Christian McCaffrey and Andrew Luck, and, they scored plenty of points. But I think it's been overemphasized this year because of the amount of injuries. But go ahead, make your guess.
Cal.
When I was playing?
Yeah. Was it Cal?
I'm thinking of Andre Carter, Delpha O'Neal. We had some really, for a couple years, we had some really, I don't want to say drag out games with Cal down there. I threw a 107-yard pick six to Delpha O'Neal.
Wow.
It was impressive.
Andre Carter got my roommate benched.
Andre Carter broke my separated my shoulder on that same play. Like I'm running after Delpha, trying to head him off on the sideline, and here comes Andre Carter. It's like,
Dude, he's one of those guys that people may not know, but look up Andre Carter. He played a bunch of years in the NFL. Dude, that dude was legit.
Yeah, those defenses again, those Cal defenses were significantly underrated. Scott Fujita.
Yeah.
The thing I'll say though is, by the time we got to my senior year, there had been, because I think Tom Holmoe was still
he was
coach there.
he was there when we played him.
Mm-hmm. And Tedford took over the year after I left. So my senior year, the next year Tedford left and went to Cal. That year, my senior year, Tom Holmoe got fired because it pretty much all fell apart. And I think we beat Cal like 60 to something, or 49 to nothing, or something. Oh, we put 60 on Arizona. I think Cal was 49 to 3 or something like that. So I would say Cal up until my senior year, but they were never really a threat in the way that Utah was, or Utah is, right? Utah's a threat. Utah is back-to-back conference champion.
Yeah, that's
like,
true.
Cal was just kind of a nuisance. Yeah. Stanford was a heavyweight. Utah is a heavyweight. Like this, even with a depleted roster, this Utah team is scary because of how they're coached and how that coach gets them to play. I mean, I had this discussion the other day on Talking Ducks with some of the guys. Like, is there a better coach in the last, people said, because of the Talking Ducks show, that since Chip Kelly in the Pac-12. Yeah. And I said the only, or better coach than Kyle Whittingham. And I said the only comparison would be David Shaw, a guy who truly got the most out of the least, right? Because you are limited in the type of player that you can recruit at Stanford. What Kyle Whittingham has done, especially this year, with a roster that is so absolutely decimated. And to still be sitting here at number 13 in the country with your only loss to a very good Oregon State team, who, by the way, is going to be a hell of a battle at the end of the year. Like, this guy's a world-class coach. And yeah, Utah is, it's almost like they're a little bit more dangerous because their backs are up against the wall.
Yeah, you fear them a little bit more in this spot, like wounded animal theory. It's interesting. Let's pause, and when we come back, we'll talk more about the game and where Joey's eyes will be in this game. And is this Oregon's toughest game left? More with Joey Harrington, courtesy of Mods PDX, next on The Fan.
It's time for a Ducks Report, the inside story on Oregon athletics, brought to you by Mods PDX. The future of building is here.
Hey, Corbin Carroll coming through with a triple.
Did it again.
It is 2-2 Rangers Diamondbacks.
Terrible route.
Two-run triple. Yeah, it was not the best play by the center fielder. But
a couple Oregon Ducks could get a ring on the D-backs, though.
Yeah.
Ryan Nelson and Scott McGuff, both on this roster.
That's right. Did you know that?
Look at you guys back to being duck honks.
Couple of our Ducks could be champs.
Carroll's goatee, though, it jams me up. I'm not going to lie.
It's not the greatest.
It's weird. He looks like a 90s magician.
Mods PDX, the future of building is here.
When looking for new construction, you want to make your dreams come alive. You want innovation and sustainability that knows no bounds. You want to work with masters of their craft. You want Mods PDX. Mods PDX works with homebuyers, architects, and developers to create beautiful, sustainable, and energy-efficient buildings of the highest quality. With our modular approach, your project will be completed sooner than traditional construction, creating a faster return on investment. Work with a team that is focused on collaboration, innovation, and creativity to create your dream. Go to modspdx.com to start your project today.
The home of Dirt and Spray.
I understand that people will always hate the Astros. I was rooting for the Rangers as well. I don't root for the Houston Astros. My only thing was, can we just stop acting like the only reason they're winning is because they're cheating?
I mean, I don't know if that's not true.
Maybe your team should cheat harder because they haven't been to 7 straight NLCSs and they lose in the first round all the time.
They only got one trophy out of it, so the Braves did that in the 90s.
Dirt and Spray. Weekdays 6 to 9 a.m. on 1080 The Fan.
Hey, it's Suk here on a Friday, heading into the weekend. Going to get Monty on the horn from my hometown dealer, Vancouver Ford. We got tailgate days going on right now, and love to celebrate it because someone's walking away with a trip to the Pac-12 title game just for taking a test drive. What are we doing to kick off a nice little weekend here?
Hey, last weekend of the month, Jason, and we are going deep with deals. The deals are online or they're on the lot, but no markup at the big Ford store in your hometown. It's just the most aggressive pricing in the country. No need to go anywhere else. Chances are your listeners are looking for something. We've got it. It's right in your hometown, just 10 minutes from downtown Portland, in the heart of Clark County. Remind them all, no one sold more vehicles in the history of Clark County than the big Ford store. Vancouver Ford, you get that low price, you get elite customer service. To put a bow on it, Jason, we're going to send somebody down to the Pac-12 championship. Just test drive to qualify in your hometown, Jason. The big Ford store, Vancouver Ford.
Yeah, last time to go in there. Again, take a test drive. Take a look at one of these beautiful vehicles. No pressure sales pitch there. So check it out, VancouverFord.com. And Monty, we'll see you later this weekend.
Yeah, we can't wait, Jason.
Don't let the game play you. Sports betting is popular among Oregonians, and those who bet on sports are at an increased risk of developing a gambling problem. Learn more at opgr.org or call 1-877-MY-LIMIT. This message is brought to you by VOA Oregon and the Multnomah County Behavioral Health Division.
Sponsored by Boost Infinite.
Hey, thinking of getting the latest iPhone? Then check out the amazing wireless offer from Boost Infinite. For more, just dial pound 250 on your phone and say Boost Infinite. You'll have the option to receive a one-time auto-dialed text message from this station's network.
Shop Black Friday every day and get the best new deals all month long only at Lowe's. Right now, bring home a select DeWalt drill or impact driver or Cobalt 40-volt blower for just $99. And order by 2 p.m. for same-day delivery. Because Lowe's knows deals. Valid through 10/31. While supplies last. Selection varies by location. Same-day delivery by 8 p.m. for eligible in-stock items. Subject to driver availability. Fees vary based on purchase. Additional terms apply. See Lowe's.com/same-day delivery for details.
Discover, this is Danny.
Hi, it's Jen Coolidge. I just want to thank you for making me feel so special.
history to it, right? It's just hat on hat, and who wins most of the battle that way? It's stop the run and it's run the ball, right? I mean, is there anything more to it than that to you?
Yes-ish. I mean, I think you're right in that this is going to be a significantly more physical game than we've seen Oregon play in a while. Washington was a huge game, but the way Penix gets the ball out of his hands, and Washington wasn't stellar on defense. It was just a different type of game. This is going to be who can establish the line of scrimmage, who can control the clock, who can control the tempo of the game, because there are a lot of things that Utah has going for them in this one. They've got the home crowd. They've got, I think it's fair to say they've got the better defense. That being said, Oregon's defense has played fantastic this year and is miles ahead of where they were last year. But for me, I think this comes down to two things. One, if Oregon can get a lead, I don't think Utah can come back.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, that's going to be the key. If they can get, what do you call it, a 2-touchdown lead, a 10-point lead, I don't think Utah has the firepower to come back in that. Now, how does Utah keep it close? Defensively, they're incredible, and they're led by. How about this, Suk? I was yesterday years old when I found out that Jonah Ellis is Luther Ellis's son.
Yeah, Luther Ellis is their defensive line coach.
Luther Ellis was it was Robert Porcher and Luther Ellis who were the old vets in Detroit when I got there as a rookie. Like, Luther Ellis could not have been a better teammate for me as a rookie in Detroit. The nicest, most incredible, hardworking, a phenomenal football player, great teammate. And I found out yesterday, I was talking about how great Jonah Ellis is, and I was listening to something from Yogi Roth, and I was like, oh my God, that's Luther's son.
Yeah,
he's an absolute stud.
Yeah,
like, you game plan for that guy. Now, in the secondary, the linebacker, they've got phenomenal defensive players at every level. But it all stems off of Jonah. Yeah. He's leading the conference in tackles for loss. He's leading the conference in sacks. He is a disruptor. He's that type of player that can change a game. You have to have a game plan for him, right? Whether it's, do you run counter into him and kick him out? Do you chip off of him? Have your running back chip out of the backfield when you're throwing the ball? Do you boot away from him? There are different ways to contain that type of player. But I think that's the key for me, is containing Jonah Ellis to the point where you can still run your offense. You can control the clock. You can control the line of scrimmage. And if Oregon can do that, I think they're going to win the game, because I think they're going to score enough points to build a lead that Utah simply just we talked about it, before the break. Like, they've had so many injuries, especially on the offensive side of the ball, that I don't think they can score to keep up. Yeah, did they score against USC? Of course they did, because USC's defense is terrible. Like, we've been talking about that for 2 years now. They haven't fixed it. USC can score on anybody, but they can't stop anyone. And Utah scored against them. But you look at a game like Oregon State, right? Oregon State's defense is solid.
Yep.
And what was it? Was it 21-7? I mean, yeah, like this isn't the offense that's going to come out and, and week to week put up 30 points. And I think if Oregon can get 21, 24, like, I think that's going to be too much for them.
Yeah, I feel the same way. It's at some point when you're down, I even said this, you take Oregon. So you lose. This is, if you want appreciation for where Utah is, Bo Nix gets hurt, never plays. Ty Thompson gets hurt and never plays. And then you have to rotate between your third and whoever your third and fourth quarterback are. Then you lose your best skill players. So that would be like Troy Franklin goes down because they lost Keithy, who's their best weapon, their tight end. And then at some point in the year, all 4 of your running backs. So
I was going to say, Taylor, you haven't even talked about tailbacks yet.
All 4. Now, a couple of them have come back, but all 4 of their top 4 running backs have missed significant time. And now you have to go pull, I don't know, you pull Steve Stevens over, and he becomes your running back.
He's a safety, right?
Yeah. He's their starting safety. And so they moved him over. And then you lose Ellis is, but your all Pac-12 linebacker in Lander Barton. He goes out, that led your team in tackles, so he's out for the year. You lose 2 of your defensive linemen for the year and 1 of your DBs. I mean, that's really, at some point, the damn burst. I mean, I love what Utah's doing, but I at some point against better teams, they're just, imagine Oregon having to do that and then asking to go on the road and beat UW or go on the road and beat USC or Oregon State or whoever. It's just, it's, I'm not saying it can't happen, but it is a lot to ask of a Utah team.
Yeah, this is an amazing coaching job what Kyle Whittingham has done with this team. I don't think, I'm trying to think if we did predictions at the beginning of the year. And I think I'm guessing that we did. I said at the start of the year, I think this is an 11-win Oregon team. I think it's the Washington game, it's the Utah game that are going to, I thought they'd get one of those. I think they'd give up one of those. Mm-hmm. I think this is the one that they get. Yeah. They gave up the one in Seattle, and for a whole host of reasons, I think this is the one that they get. I'm going to be really curious to see. When Oregon came out of the gates last week against Washington State, they were chucking the ball all over the place. I mean, it was pass, punch, pass, punch, pass, punt. And then about halfway through the second quarter, they realized, like, what are we doing? Like, let's just get back to what we do well. And they just started controlling the line of scrimmage, and everything opened up from there. I'm curious to see how Oregon approaches, or what type of philosophy they have coming into this game, how they're going to approach this game offensively, because I think that's going to dictate how this game goes down the road. Do you come out aggressive and try and chuck it around and put your foot on them early? Do you try and establish a line of scrimmage, and grind them away? I don't know, but I think that the key is controlling, I was about to say Luther Ellis, controlling Jonah Ellis, because he's just such a disruptor, right? It's so much easier it's especially on the road. It's so much easier to be working out of, and it doesn't have to be big gains on 1st and 2nd down, but working out of 2nd and 7 and 3rd and 4, instead of giving up that sack or that tackle for loss to Jonah. And now all of a sudden it's 2nd and 14 and it's 3rd and 12. And that is, you can't get behind the sticks. And so controlling Jonah Ellis, getting a couple points ahead. And I think that is what Oregon is going to be able to, or is going to have to do, and is going to be able to do to win this game.
Based on what you're saying, I'm sensing that you don't think that this is their toughest game left. Maybe the Beavers will be tougher, or do you think this is their toughest game left?
If I'm looking at this right now, I would. Okay, this is nothing against Utah. We've spent the whole segment talking about this. If Utah was at full strength, hell yeah, this would be their toughest game. I don't think they are. I just don't think that this is this a 9 or 10 win Utah team? Yeah, you bet it is. And that's a hell of a coaching job to get them there. But if you look at what Oregon State is quietly doing over there in Corvallis, just chunk to chunk to chunk, I think that's, if you're looking at one game for on the rest of the schedule, I think SC is going to be a shootout. I think Oregon is going to win this weekend in Utah, and what do we call it, a 24-17 type of game. I think that Oregon State game is going to be a battle. And not that we need to even, jump that far down the line, but yeah, I think that because of the injuries to Utah, what has happened to them throughout the course of the year, I think that, and maybe it's wishful thinking, but I think that takes a little bit of the sting out of what they've got.
All right, we'll leave it there. Good luck with your knee. We're rooting for you. Hope you get a casserole.
That's the big one. Someone bring the man a casserole, for God's sakes.
Yeah, I mean, I was gonna, I was even looking up recipes. I was like, dude, it doesn't have to be huge. I mean, just a little bit of 9x12 Pyrex, some meat, some cheese. Let's call it a day.
Well, we're rooting for the casserole. Trust us, we're rooting for you. All right, have a good weekend,
right.
okay?
See you guys.
All right, that's Joey Harrington. Each week, brought to you by Mods PDX, the future of building is here.
Not gonna lie, I want a casserole now.
Hey, on this note, we need to kick off the club with Buckley's
Buckley's running a
situation.
Scam.
He's got
He's
going
running
on.
a scam.
He is running a scam.
These kids are a scam that he's doing.
I have nothing to do with this.
Yeah, whatever.
All right,
Your
well-
white privilege is showing again.
Yeah.
We'll start with that next. 6:06 on the Fan.
If the last few years have taught us anything, it's that human connection means the world. By
as you took any Tom, Dick, or Harry in a sports bar and had him answer any question that wasn't related to sports and who looks like the bigger idiot.
Hey, speaking of idiots.
Yeah, the scam that Ryan Buckley has going on right now.
What's going on? I'm hearing tales of so he's about to have a baby.
Yeah. So we're talking about casseroles.
Joey's talking about casseroles.
Yeah, Joey's
and
talking
I
about-
mentioned during the break, I may have a plethora of casseroles in my
Yeah,
future.
I was like, when's the last time someone brought you a casserole? I don't remember him bringing me food. And so he's like, tells me that when he had his baby, 30 to 40 people brought him casseroles, and he's like, well, just food. And I said, 30 to who is bringing you food?
It's a whole thing.
And Buckley acted like it was like, you've never had it? No, I've never had 40 people sign up to bring me meals.
Yeah, what's going on over there?
Well, so it's something called a meal train, and you've probably heard this before, but now they've made it really easy and streamlined it with a website. So all you need to do, it's super common for people having babies or who are having like medical procedures or whatever that you want to bring a bunch of stuff for. One person just has to essentially set up a website on, or like set up an account for this person on the website, and then with all your friends' email addresses, you can just be sent an email that says, hey, do you want to provide a meal for your friend?
It's like a pyramid scheme
and you can say
for
yes,
meals.
and then it includes the dates that you need meals and your meal preferences, including takeout options.
You've got meal preferences?
Well, if you have allergies or like, hey, here's what we would want from
Buck's
this spot.
Buck's like, I would like some tuna tartare.
Yes, the chow mein, not the fried rice, please. Something like that, you know?
And you, like, how
And so
many
then
people
30
do you, 30 to 40 people?
Well,
You
I
have
don't
a
know.
lot
I mean,
of
basically,
friends.
it goes out to like all your friends and family, and so like family that's out of state, they'll pick it up. You know, they'll do it a couple times.
But
and,
wait, it goes out to them because you put their email addresses in there?
So someone
Yes.
organizes it
It's a
for
scam.
you.
No.
So like, no, my wife's mother is doing it this time. My mother-in-law. So she's collected a bunch of emails from like our friends and family, and she's emailed all of them saying, do you want to bring Ryan and Kim and the babies a meal once they have?
Because that's not making it awkward and pressuring anyone.
Well, no one has to sign up.
Okay, Buck. You know what you are? This is the equivalent of you like at a ball game getting handed a bag of popcorn and they spin that pad around. Would you like to tip? I'm starting a hashtag, don't feed the Buckleys. It's a freaking scam over there. I'm starting it.
I haven't done anything. I'm just sitting here eating the food that gets delivered to my door.
Can I go on the website and protest?
Sure.
Like your mother-in-law, oh, by the way, would you like to? No, I
You know
don't
what? I'll
want
have
to,
her
but
add
I'm
your email address.
trying to guilt people into it. 40
I'm not
people.
guilting anybody.
You put your preferences.
My mother-in-law is.
Your series of restaurants. Well, because after the baby, you can't go and get some food.
No, you can, but people
But you
want to
don't
do nice
have.
things for
But
you.
you don't have to.
Well, and we've done it for 6 to 8 different friends who've had babies, and then it comes full circle. So
Boy, am I just out of the loop on this? Like,
Well, you haven't had a kid in a while.
yeah, I know.
That's part of it.
I guess, but I don't know. I've had people die.
don't know,
I mean,
I feel like-
occasionally you get like one or two, like someone will come by.
And then if someone's bringing a home cooked meal, usually they make a double batch of whatever it is. So you've got
Yeah, so you're gonna have
leftovers hanging
so
out.
much food,
Yeah,
dude.
Yeah.
So you're saying that
You're gonna get fat. It's gonna be awesome.
Well, we're gonna try to avoid that.
One tubby, two tubby. I'm just gonna have
more scoop of the casserole.
I'm just gonna have everyone just. I'm gonna start along with my don't feed the Buckleys. It's
Or
also gonna
only
be.
feed them heavy, creamy casserole.
Yeah, it's just gonna be like crumble cookies, 24/7 showing up at your doorway. You're not gonna do anything. You're gonna eat them. It's gonna be fantastic.
So your mother-in-law has spearheaded this.
Yeah.
So how much of the food will come from people that you actually know, or if it's just like her church group or whatever?
No, it's
some Karens like
it's a pyramid
Oh,
scheme.
that's the daughter of the lady I sing in the choir with, so I'll send him a.
I think she has a lot of these people's emails because of throwing a baby shower for my wife.
Speaking of
her
another
daughter.
scam,
Well,
the baby shower.
Yeah, which we didn't have this time around because we already have most of the baby stuff we need. So did not do a second shower, but this is, I mean, she has people's email addresses from that, and I think from the last time around when we had the last kid. So
All right. Well, I do agree. I agree with Suk in this sense that if I get that email, I feel obligated.
Do you?
Yes.
I do. It's similar to, I got one of those the other day from my little niece, the Girl Scout ask.
Yep.
I can't ignore that.
Yeah, otherwise you're an ass.
I have to.
Yeah.
Of course, I've ignored it to this point.
Yeah.
So maybe it will just go away. But they're really good. They follow ups
you
and
can just
reminders.
ignore it.
But I don't know. I couldn't.
Yeah,
I couldn't.
Do you feel good about yourself, Buckley, that you're out panhandling for casseroles?
No, I feel great because I'm not doing any of the panhandling, but I'm reaping all the benefits of the casserole.
So you're allowing someone else to panhandle for you.
Yeah, that's my privilege.
Yeah.
I will say this, though.
Buck's white privilege.
I have some breaking news.
Yeah.
When my wife had ACL surgery.
Yeah.
Mealtrain.com?
No, there was one family that brought us a casserole.
Yeah.
They did, and it was I don't know what it is about the casserole.
I think the idea
It's
is
a thing. It's a comforting thing that you can.
Yes,
you can heat quickly.
It keeps.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it stays in the fridge.
If you don't want to
Okay.
eat it now, you can eat it
Yeah.
later. There's some idea out there, and I don't know why, that if I bring you just some chicken, it'll go bad in like 4 minutes, but a casserole, 7 years.
Yeah.
Just throw that in the freezer and heat that up whenever.
No, it was the John and Heather Sukanics.
Oh, yeah, they brought you a casserole.
They brought Daniela and I.
Oh, there you go.
And meatball a casserole. Back when Danielle had knee surgery.
Really?
Yeah.
All right. Well,
Yeah. I never forgot it too. I thought that was the nicest thing. I did
From the Vancouver Ford text
We didn't
line.
expect that.
This is definitely a thing. I assure you that your ladies are aware as well. I made baked mac and cheese for my friend when she had her second. And then second one, my brother and his girlfriend did this. I completely ignored it. Your baby, you feed it. You decided to have the damn thing.
That's right.
I'm just saying, I tend to, I understand that why people do it, but like really, like you're so laid up that you can't feed yourself. Yeah, you can.
Well, of course you can. It's just nice for a family who has a new baby in the house whose life is a little crazy to have them not
It
have to worry
probably
about
helps
dinner.
your wallet
For
too.
40 days. And that's what I'm saying. It's a scam. It's a scam.
Yeah,
it's not about time and it's not about comfort. It's about saving bucks.
Well, I'll tell you what, if I was on that email list,
let me
I would
tell
put
you,
it
having
into
another
my...
child does not save you a few bucks. That
Well, yeah.
much we already know.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
this,
but
this does.
that's your fault for having another kid.
Well, yeah, I never said it wasn't.
Dude, that thing's going straight into the trash. You send that to me, you son of a bitch.
Yeah, you've already
Make
got.
sure my mother-in-law gets both your
I
emails.
would like to know when this is all said and done, and you be honest, I would like to know the amount.
The meal count?
I need to know the meal count with
And-
your privilege.
Yeah, and the
You
other
should
thing
document it on Twitter.
is home cooked versus purchased, because they're like, we had friends from California that were
Yeah.
like, hey, we're gonna buy you Chipotle tonight. What do you guys want?
And
Or
that's what I
whatever.
was wondering. It's like if you send out this email, like somebody from Nevada could just get Uber Eats for you.
Yeah.
Or
Yep,
whatever.
and that's what happens. The people who are out usually do that.
Back in the day, you had.
You
we
know
did
what?
some
I'm-
for our friends in the Bay Area. Like their favorite local Italian spot dropped like 50
I'm starting the
bucks on
meal train for me.
Good for your broken nose.
Yeah, I'm doing that. I'm doing that for me. Yeah, I've got a broken nose, so apparently and by the way, my gal's out of town, so what am I supposed to do? I can't cook with a broken nose, and I got what? So now I need meals.
You
Well,
could
you know
have
what you
10
should do?
people sign up. You could have
Meal
2 weeks worth of meal.
Meal train.
Here's what you do: just announce that she's pregnant.
Wait, whose kid is it?
People won't like. I mean, they don't actually. If they bring the food over, be like, "Oh, she's."
This will be the
she's
greatest.
breastfeeding.
What if my gal's pregnant for like 9 years in a row? People are like, have you not had the baby? Oh, it's just
We're
pregnant.
having another one.
This is my food bill is about to go to zero. Can you believe it? Pregnant again.
Yeah,
Is
nobody
that like
loves
your-
a good scam like Big Soup.
Is that your 9th kid? Maybe I start naming them. We come up with some fake baby photos.
Man. All right, we have a slightly notable TV death. We'll get to that.
I did see that. And I got something that I need to bring in. And believe it or not, I got to give credit to Stephen A. Smith. He didn't do this, but it's where I saw it.
Oh dear.
And it's kind of it's interesting because none of us are in the dating world, but I think we can all relate to this.
Oh, I think I saw this
I'm
too.
intrigued by this.
All right. That's next on the Fan.
A needed Pac-12 win.
Up the middle, this may be all the way. 20, 10, can't catch him. Goal line, touchdown, Bucky Irving.
Will the Ducks pass the next test?
Hey, we got more work to do. Our guys are hungry. I think we still haven't played
is in, and this is brilliant. Vancouver Ford text line on my plan to jump on the white privilege of Ryan Buckley and get all my meals for free.
This is good.
Step 1, pretend to rejoin the Mormon church. Step 2, fake 9 kids. Find the holes. There isn't. It's foolproof. Are you kidding me? If I faked rejoined that church, the amount of free meals that I would get just based on that alone, then I crank out some fake kids? Are you kidding me? I'm eating like a king. I could probably keep that going for at least 4 to 5 years before anyone was onto it. Although my drinking problem might give me away.
It's a good bit, but we got to give the OG, Ryan Buckley, the credit.
He's doing it for the second time in a row.
Thought of it himself.
And he's passing off the blame onto his mother-in-law.
Yeah.
Deal also saying rich white people buying meals for each other while the homeless starve.
Yeah.
Accurate.
Way to go, Buck. Thought about donating any of those meals, huh?
No,
Yeah,
I haven't.
no.
We keep the leftovers.
I hope you come back from maternity leave like 290. You're just round.
That's about my peak. I topped out about 295.
You're just the shape of a rhombus at that point.
Well, that does happen. You know, you have that second kid.
Oh, I can promise you it's more globular than it is rhombus-like.
There's no more exercising. You know?
It's not easy.
No.
Does he really know what he's in for?
With the second kid?
Yeah.
Probably not.
Well, you know what's going to happen. He's already been a stay-at-home dad once. Buck's never coming back from maternity leave. He's just going to leave, and we're like, what? Schultz will be our new, will be our new producer. Buck will just like email us one day. He's like, sorry, boys, not coming back.
Oh, we're in the countdown phase now. Schultz is scheduled to be with you guys starting Thursday next week as my wife has a scheduled labor induction.
Oh.
Yeah.
Next week? This is breaking news.
Again, more white privilege that you're having the baby on your own timeline.
Well, it's
so you're gonna have a baby next Thursday.
Well, unless he comes before that, which is also possible. We're in range now.
Damn, dude.
How about that?
Yeah.
And then how long are you out eating casserole for free?
Plenty of time. Yeah, like through the new year.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
You know what?
The white
Kudos
privilege
to
again.
the Odyssey company.
Yeah, they hook you up.
They hook you up. They even give the dads 12 weeks of parental leave.
What a great
12
company.
weeks. Do you feel like less of a man? Because you probably should.
No, not at all.
12 weeks.
Yeah, that's a thing now, and I think that's great.
Now, can I get maternity leave for my fake
An Odyssey
kids?
station.
How does that?
Sure.
like, is that paid?
Well,
should
I
apply
think
for it.
it'll involve you having to forge birth certificates, I think, which will be
Hey,
difficult.
look.
Yeah, he can do that.
Oh, please. I have no. I'll get you a birth certificate.
low level for
yeah,
you?
it's low level. I guarantee I could find one of those on the internet within 20 minutes. Kidding me? Silk Road style? Let's go.
Yeah, didn't they claim Obama did that?
Fake news.
Let's see the birth certificate.
Oh, I'm certain I can come up with a fake birth certificate if that's all that's there. You go ahead and come up with some proof.
Hey, the notable, slightly notable TV death.
Yeah, it's a slightly notable one. Great show of my childhood. I loved it.
Great show. Night Court.
Yep.
The sitcom Night Court. Bull has passed away.
Richard Mall.
Yeah, he died. He was 80.
Bull the bailiff.
He lived in Big Bear, California.
By the way, that kind of makes sense, right?
What?
He lives in Big Bear?
Yeah, I thought that was on brand.
Yeah, I would think so.
From what I know of him.
He didn't,
He was in Jingle All the Way, Scary Movie 2.
And the
Flintstones.
weird part is that he, in a Night Court, he was always bald.
Yeah.
And then
he was not bald.
He wasn't bald.
No, he was he had a nice head of hair, actually.
Which, can I be honest about something here? That bothers me a little bit.
Well, you can see the outline of his hair. You know, if you go back and look at old pictures of Bull.
But you're saying you're almost kind of insulted that someone who has hair is choosing to pretend that
Why
they
would
don't?
He took a job. He took a role from a bald guy.
It's a little, it's like if
unfair to the balls.
you're able-bodied and you're using a wheelchair, or in the case of Buck, when you are fine and then you're just forcing people to bring you casseroles. It's the
Guilting
same.
them, yeah.
It's the same sort of thing. Yeah. I just don't remember him, and every now and then you'd be watching something because he's 9 feet tall. He's an enormous human being. You'd be like, oh, hey, it's Bull. But I mean, you look at his IMDb, and he was working his whole life. He made a nice little career out of just being the big giant bald, or I guess just the big giant guy.
All right.
Sorority Party Massacre.
Let's get this Stephen A. Smith story. in here, but let's do it next. Okay?
Yeah, we'll do it next.
We'll do it next.
We'll do it live.
It is 6:30. Here's Buck.
This is a Football Friday edition of Primetime with Isaac and Suk.
Brought to you by the Odyssey app.
Now.
behind the Cheesecake Factory, even better. So Cheesecake Factory, number one. Now, number two, I do tend to agree with, and that's Applebee's. Don't go to Applebee's on a first date. But Applebee's has a robust single scene. I guess Applebee's is a place where like middle-aged dudes go to hunt.
Yeah, you were saying that.
Yeah.
I think that's like, isn't that like the Midwest divorced singles
Yeah.
spot?
Yeah.
Basically?
Yeah.
Facebook and
I
Applebee's.
had a gal on a first date invite me to Applebee's. So I have been on
Bet
a.
she was a good time.
Well, here's the best. But remember, I told you that I ended up at that weird the house party that I left.
Same person.
That was the person.
Wow.
We met at
The
Applebee's.
3%er.
And then went to the house party where I had to leave.
Okay.
So that does say something. But that was her idea, not mine. I guess they have like $1 margaritas.
Jesus.
Chili's.
Okay, so it is just a list of restaurants.
It's not. I mean, there are restaurants on here. So the
So
restaurants.
don't take them to cheesy restaurants.
Yeah.
I think
Okay,
what
we
happened
get
is
it.
they surveyed a bunch of women and they got all these various answers. If you probably could have had them in a group and then been like, oh yeah, chain
It's like
restaurants.
Chili's,
like this,
Chipotle, Olive Garden, and then number 6.
Chipotle.
Yeah, Chipotle. What if you call it Chipotle?
Chipotle.
Yeah.
That's the worst one of all of them.
Yeah.
Like, that's not even that's like fast food.
It's fast food.
You can't take a. Now, that one I agree with.
That one you may agree with. So then the movies.
The movies.
Yeah,
okay.
they said no movies.
Yeah.
Your house.
Yeah, they don't want to go to your house.
Yeah, meet me over here.
And any fast food, which Chipotle falls into that, right? A buffet.
Right.
The gym.
Oh, God. Who
Gym
does
date.
that?
The gym date. Church.
That's a thing?
Yeah, that's apparently.
Meet me at the gym?
Meet you at the gym.
Ugh.
Church.
Church, okay.
Starbucks. They said-
Really? Starbucks?
Yeah,
coffee date.
and they said coffee dates. And so Starbucks, and then the whole one was just coffee dates.
Really? They don't like coffee dates?
Now, I don't drink coffee, but I would think that the coffee date is
not
the
a
best
bad-
first date.
Low
Yeah,
stakes, low commitment.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't.
'Cause
that surprises me.
Yeah, because like if it's not working, then you're out of there
Yeah.
in 30 minutes.
Yeah, exactly.
20 minutes? And that's the point. I would think that girls would be very high on the coffee date. And this is why some dudes are pushing back, being like, is this because you're a snob and you want to be, even if it's a guy you're not interested in, you want him to spend a bunch
She
of money
wants
on
the
you?
free meal.
Yeah. I
right.
think the Starbucks date is fantastic.
All right, well, hey, I'm going to Vegas. So
Oh, Rob's out.
Can you guys
The Uber,
We'll find a
screw off,
way.
please?
the Uber has arrived.
We'll find a way.
Now, more importantly, people want to know
What?
the Vegas odds of you getting back on Monday.
Oh, I'll be here. We fly back Sunday, actually. Sunday
Really?
night. Quick trip.
I mean, you have a Rice Eccles-esque history here
You,
with Vegas.
you really
That's
do.
true.
You have a
Look, I'm not going to lie.
Vegas has a bit of a winning streak on you.
I understand that you
The
are
Ducks
the
don't win to
favorite.
Vegas.
You are the favorite, but Vegas has
hear ya.
underdogged your ass multiple times.
I hear you. I will just tell you that I'm more prepared for this game than those other games.
I'm not gonna lie. Not everyone
I'm
has
ready.
a ton of faith that you're going down to
Okay.
Vegas and you're coming out with a W.
All right, well, find out at 3 o'clock on Monday. Until then, F all of you. Bye.
Enjoy Las Vegas. All right, so we've got coffee dates, ice cream dates, which I'm sure is the same thing as
Ice
the
cream
coffee
date, again, another low stakes, maybe half hour. I see this as a perfect opportunity as a first date for a woman because, again, she can get out of it after 30 minutes.
Yes, and guys can too. Why is the assumption that it's only the girl that doesn't want to be there?
Yeah, that's a good point.
As someone that had single life forced upon him, right?
Mm-hmm.
Choose to be a widow, and going out, I'm telling you, man, I had plenty where I was like, oh my God, can we end this as soon as humanly possible? And I'm a big fan of the low stakes, low commitment, because here's the thing with the ice cream date, with the coffee date, whatever. Because if coffee goes well, if ice cream goes well, if anything like that goes well, then the date just extends.
You can just elevate or, go on to whatever the next thing is. That's why, like, meeting for drinks is a decent idea because drinks can turn into dinner if you're hitting it off.
Yeah, the lunch date's the best date in the world.
Totally.
The lunch date is the best thing ever.
Especially during the week, there's a hard stop time. You've got to go back to work. I've got to go do this thing. Like,
Yeah, even on the weekend, I'm a big fan of the lunch date. Because again,
take a walk afterwards. Do something.
If it works, then you've got the rest of the day to do whatever you got. If not, you can pull the shoot. And even if it's awkward, you can do that. Hey, sorry, I've got to be blah, blah, blah.
Just lunch.
I got something going on there. So they did coffee dates. What was some of the other one? Movie nights, obviously Netflix, Hulu, and that goes back to that.
That's
I
the My Place
understand.
one. I get that.
You can't invite someone back, and
Like,
also
well, we could just hang out at my place. No, that's not going to fly.
No, you can't do that. Just like you can't really pick them up on the first date. You can't.
You should be meeting somewhere.
You'd be meeting somewhere.
Yeah.
You can't do that. So that I agree with. What was the other one? Somewhere that requires a long drive. I think that goes back to they just
That's
don't
a
want.
safety thing.
They don't want to be murdered.
Especially because it's a first date. You don't know somebody. They don't want to hop in the car with you for 20 minutes not knowing where they're going. Yeah, sorry.
And here's the other one too. Like no man should. If a man does want to take you on a long drive for a first date, he is trying to murder you. Just FYI.
Yeah, if you want to go stargazing, suggest something else first. Go to a crowded bar.
Yeah, because there's no way. In no circumstances would I ever want to meet someone for a first date and then drive them to Seattle.
No.
Hey, I got tickets to go see Pearl Jam in Seattle. You know who I'm not taking? A first date. Because you're up there 3 hours and then a concert and then coming. No, that's way too long. Because if you hate that person, you're stuck. Bowling. What's wrong with bowling?
See, I think that's a fun first date.
Yes.
I mean, I guess maybe if the person isn't particularly athletic, if they've got nails they don't want to, or like they're in heel. I mean, I don't know, but I think that is a nice leveling of the playing field. We can go and just kind of F around at the bowling alley. Like, no one's really going to be good. It's a place to drink.
There's some playful banter. Yeah. Maybe you can help them, with the ball.
Friendly competition. No one's really good. Yeah. I think bowling's great.
Yeah, bowling, you're doing the little Lebowski dance there.
Maybe it depends on where, because bowling alleys can be kind of seedy. So if you've got the wrong bowling alley, then maybe that's it. But
well, look,
I mean,
if you're going to a Big Al's, sure. If you're going to a Crosley Lanes, I get it. Hey, no offense to the Crosley Lanes, downtown Vancouver. Big fan, but look, there's a real you can get stabbed there sort of vibe. There's a chance that a car may be on fire when you leave the place, and so I get that. So again, it's context of the bowling alley.
Yeah.
What was the other one? Nightclubs, which I'm not a nightclub guy, but
I definitely am not. I didn't like going anywhere where you can't hear the conversation if it's so loud. Like for me, even like a loud concert wouldn't be ideal unless you could be in the back or have conversation or whatever. But I don't know. Like, is nightclub essentially the same as a bar? It's not, right?
No, nightclub is music.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, nightclub is music. Oh, and by the way, a bar is on here too.
That's a problem.
Which is just ridiculous. If you can't, this is like where women are a little crammed up here because where would you like to go?
Where do you want to go?
So there's no bar, and then the other one they had like some other restaurants like Waffle Houses. They have sporting events on here. So just to be clear, you don't want to bowl. You don't want to go to sporting events. You don't want to go out golfing, which no man should invite you to play golf if you're not really into that. You can't go to any just generic kind of restaurant. Like, what exactly then would be an acceptable first date?
Someone on the Vancouver 4 text line says a museum. You could go to a museum on your first date. I guess that would be one that's not on their list.
Walking, talking. This honestly just sounds like, as someone says here, it just sounds like women just want you to spend a bunch of money. And I get it. Like if you're going out and you want to have and you want to try to make a really great first impression, you can throw a fancy sort of a bunch of cash at it. But if you're just meeting the person and you don't know them, do you want to spend do you want to take someone to El Gaucho on a first date? Maybe
I wouldn't think so.
Maybe if that's a dime and you know
and you
her
already know it,
and you're like, oh my God, this. But it just seems. I guess the museum thing isn't a bad one. It could be a bit boring.
Yeah. Like an art gallery.
But I guess it does gives you a chance to chit or chat. But why wouldn't Starbucks do that? Why wouldn't any of those places do that?
I'm trying to think of what else could make that list.
So if bowling doesn't work, would mini golf also be bad?
See, that's why I wouldn't think so. I think mini golf's a great first date.
Yeah, I've had the mini golf first date, and I think that's a fine one. I've done the driving range first date because you can't golf.
Yeah,
that's right out. But like golf?
Top golf is great because you can do drinks, you can do apps. There's a. I mean, yeah, you can. No one's going to embarrass themselves at Top Golf. It's just Top Golf.
Look, I understand that men are terrible human beings, and don't get me wrong, and I feel bad for any woman that's single out there and is having to try to find a man. But this goes both ways. This does go both ways. That being a single guy and trying to fit into whatever, what is it? 6 foot. 6 figures, 6 inches. There's that. Like that one's out there.
I haven't heard that baseline, but that's good.
Yeah, there's always and there is the other side of it exactly. What are you bringing? Because it's like it's all these women that are like, well, I want I want him to be 35.
I think it's that dudes are always more desperate for women than women are for dudes.
I want him to make $500,000. I want him to think that I'm the greatest thing in the world.
And don't you dare take me to a bowling alley.
And he needs to be super masculine to be able to kick anyone's ass, but also be very docile and loving and comforting.
And in touch with himself and not too aggro. Yeah.
There's a weird, I don't know. There's just a weird kind of standard out there. And yet we all end up with the same person. You know, it's like, what is that? And in some ways, everyone settles. Like the idea of like the dream. So the idea that if you ask someone to go on a date and then they were like, hey, let's meet at any one of these places, with the exception of the long drive because you're going to get murdered.
Yeah.
And you were
or
like,
my house because it's a little presumptive.
And you were like, absolutely not. There's part of me that would be like, well, then that's on you.
Fine. Yeah, I didn't need to go dating that person anyway.
No.
So maybe it's a good weed out process for the men.
No.
If they have that list or those places.
Yeah, so shoot us a text if you would, because I would like to know what do you have, the men out there or women, do you have a go-to first date? If you have a first date, what is the go-to?
They said
location?
No sporting events. I really like a baseball game because a baseball game there's so much downtime. There's not action that you have to keep up with or whatever. It's a perfect talking sporting event.
Right. We wrap it up when we come back. Club 1080 here on The Fan.
Oregon Ducks football is on The Fan.
Here's third down at the 17-yard line. 3rd